Racing fans, and welcome to the 2021 Britsy ANZCAR Cup Daytona 500 here on the SimShed Broadcasting Network. Who will have their hearts broken and who will fall in love with this race today? We'll find out that and more in this race. Joining me up in the booth tonight is Dave Douglas. How you going, Dave?
Good car. G'day, everyone. Looking forward to this one. This is the one we've all been waiting for all week. Everything counts today.
Absolutely. They've all been racing for this one all week long almost, isn't it? With the speed week, it's been a long one. We're just finishing practice session here now, so I'm going to actually run through the starting grid. So if you joined us last night for the duel, of course, you will know that Hamish Gallagher will be on the outside, but we've got all the results in. So up on the front row of the grid is Raymond Yeager and Ruben Phelps. So they are going to be starting first and second on the front and second rows of the grid. Neil Pearson, Hamish Gallagher on the second row. Third row is Edward Foster, Josh Micklemore. Fourth is Stephen Williams with Joshua Carroll-Walden. Fifth, James Robbie with Race Mears. Sixth is Justin Witcher with Danny G. Seventh, Bradley Cheney with Paul Jackson. Eighth, Greg Spencer and Matthew Raymond. Eighth, Michael Shaw, Aidan Schultz. 9th, Norman Clark, Luke Trahir. 10th, Braden Thomas, Michael Skurlock. 11th row is Brad Allison with Devon Stove. 12th, Scott Griffiths, Ryan Bull. 13th is Chris Purnell and Adam Rosell. 14th, Lachlan Urquio with Daniel Stevens. 15th is Nathan Button with Gary Wellman. 16th, Bill Hickey, Jason Martin. 17th is Micah Dornack with Nigel Patton. 18th, Liam Ford, Matt Hunter. 19th, John Sorensen, Phil Otto. 20th, Riley Curtis, Tristan Koch, and on the back is Jason Hartigan. So pretty full field out there tonight. Lots of cars to be looking at. Lots of stuff going to be happening out on the grid. But it is a front row lockout for the Activity Hub Barley Racing team.
Yeah, certainly is. Big field. The nerves will be high right now in anticipation of the green flag. I think this is one of the biggest races of the years for these guys, and yeah, as I said, the nerves will be running very high. So you want to just get into a rhythm here early and try and avoid any sort of damage.
As you say, biggest race of the year. It is the full 200 laps here at Daytona. It's a long old race, isn't it? It's going to be a big one today, and quite a few drivers out there for the first time in the Cup Series. Quite a few drivers out there with a lot of experience as well. So you're going to see some different strategies play out. You might see some people just dropping back a little bit at the start, a few people trying to get a runaway at the start. It's usually how it goes, but it is a long race, and to finish first you must finish.
Oh yeah, nothing ring true than this race, mate. So Raymond Yeager on the front row here. He's got the best seat in the house right now, but you can bet he'll be very nervous about this one off pole. It's a lot easier back in the pack, but well, let's hopefully we get a clean few first laps here.
Yes, that's what we can hope for. The pace car will be peeling away very shortly as we get ready for this race to start. Of course, we hope you join us for the rest of the season as well. It's going to be a big one this year, but starting us off here at Daytona for the 500, Raymond Yeager, Ruben Phelps on the front row of the grid. Pace car will be peeling in any moment now into the pit lane, and we will be looking for that green light for the 2021 ANZCAR Cup, and it is green for the Daytona 500.
Let's go racing. Right away.
We are contractually obliged to say that, of course.
Nice clean start. Raymond out front there.
Yeah, good clean start on that bottom line as well. They've managed to get a little bit of pace away straight away. Neil Pearson just sitting behind in second place at the moment. The outside line just starting to form up a little bit. 4 cars strong at the moment. They've got a bit of a gap back to the rest of the field at the moment. Just those 4 cars up there, but you can run 4 cars and get a decent bit of drafting going on with Joshua Carroll-Walden at the back of it and Ruben Phelps leading at the moment.
Yeah, you can see all the 2x2 for the first 4 rows here, and then it's sort of single file with a couple of stragglers on the top there. I can see one of the Crank Esports cars back there. I reckon he'd probably make his way towards the back. We'll see what they got planned for today, but yeah, smooth sailing so far. Let's keep it up. That's lap 1 in the books of 200. It's a long day here.
It is, it's such a long race as well. Like, that is the thing is, you have a lot of cars out on track. You have a lot of moments that can easily be a mistake. So we see a couple of cars just in the background, just dropping down to the apron for the.
Ruben Phelps, sorry, just making a. Oh, geez, I tell you what, he went down. He's gone back up to block the top line. He wasn't comfortable with that. Maybe he thought better of it, but Hamish didn't give him the option, and it was close, too close to this early on the race. But we got two Mitch cars first in line at the top, and we got Raymond Jaeger behind Ruben Phelps here down the bottom.
Yeah, that's it. It was a crucial move there. Just the teammates trying to get working together, but it was a bit of a dangerous move this early in the race. Of course, that is one of the big things. Is it's such an easy mistake to make this early in the race, and looks like Ruben's just got a little bit of a wiggle on that car at the moment as well, as he just gets caught off as he just goes off the corner there. But he's holding it quite well there with Jaeger just behind him.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Ruben's done too much running. I haven't seen his name much, whether he's brand new for this season, but he is one of the new faces as far as I'm aware. So far doing a good job. He's out the front, so he's got a fast car. We'll just see what he can do with it here.
Yeah, definitely got some pace. We saw him out in the trucks on Monday night and had some good pace in that race as well, running towards the front. So definitely a driver to keep on the lookout for. It's one of those things. It's easy to jump into these cars. It's hard to jump in and be fast, and he's managed to show that he's got the speed at the moment. But that top line's working together quite well at the moment. Hamish Gallagher getting a good push at the moment, and they're trying to get a little bit of a gap on that lower line as they go along.
Yep, and just behind them, Edward Foster's just made a little move up to the outside line, so he sees that momentum. Remembering he is sort of a satellite team with the Natari Autosports there, so he's probably going to look to hook up with JCW, but I didn't actually notice, but the Activity Hub Bali cars, they're actually the first two cars. I wasn't sure if Raymond was at them, but he is. So that move for Ruben was odd for him to come down and then go back up, considering his teammates on the bottom. So I'm not sure whether he was just trying to block. Maybe he's watched a little bit too much NASCAR on TV this week and thought that was a wise move. But yeah, very hard to work the lines like they do on the TV here.
Yeah, these cars, the drivers on the TV make it look easy sometimes, and it is very different when you're driving it. Just behind there, you have to do DPR cars as well. Neil Pearson and just Stephen Williams as well. Those guys there just sitting in a line behind it. So quite a few teams have managed to get a few of their cars up to the top relatively quickly, which is generally what you want for Daytona, isn't it? Having your teammates around you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can see another Activity Barley car. I'm just going to call them Barley cars back there. The number 10 of Justin Witcher. So he's not too far off these boys up front too. We know that these guys are fast. They've got fast cars. We saw that in qualifying. So it's just a matter of being able to use it and stay in this for the remainder of the race.
Yeah, that's it. Definitely got a fast setup.
Push from the 31 here. Now watch for them. If they get clear of the of Ruben, they'll probably drop down to that bottom line, but just not quite clear enough for the 31 to drop down there.
Yeah, that's it. They're going to sort of, obviously you're going to see Micklemore and Gallagher trying to work together, keeping it sort of in line at the moment, because they're going to want to keep together. But you've got Joshua Carroll Walden as well, just back there as well. He might look at trying to slot in that bottom line if he sees an opportunity, because he's not really got too much to play for with those guys. So again, it's all that strategy playing into effect. That top line is starting to fall back a little bit now, but we've seen that a few times. They just fall back a little bit through the back section and then come strong across the tri-oval.
Yeah, which is interesting. It's only early days. What do we lap 7 of 200? So here's another big push. So maybe they might be running a little bit extra tape, knowing that they're not going to be pushing too hard. So you can only push for a limited amount of time, maybe in the 31. So that's probably why they're stalled out a bit for that lap. But they're still trying to make forward progress. And I'd say Josh sort of worked with them last night to an extent. Just hung with them basically, and he might do the same here and just find himself rolling around these boys on the top side.
Yeah, that's it. That's the thing about the duels. Sometimes is it gives you that little bit of extra opportunity to get a bit of experience working with some of those guys that you're going to be racing with today.
Yeah, certainly, mate. Yeah, as I said, some of them was a live test session, final tweaks in their cars, but now you've got what you got now, so you just got to run it. You can make slight adjustments in the pit stops. Being taped percentage-wise over the grill, you can more or less percent. Obviously, in the pack, you want to be running minimal tape that you can get away with, and then be able to push. Because if you start pushing on that rear bumper, it just cuts off the air, and you overheat real quick.
Yeah, you've got to be careful of that because it is so easy for those engines to get too hot, and they don't like getting hot, do they?
No, definitely not. So you can run them in the red for a little bit, but eventually they will pop, they will expire on you, and you do not want to have that happen at the front of the pack because that'll scatter the pack and more than likely end up in a caution and a big one.
Yeah, and the big one is what everybody fears here at Daytona and every super speedway, of course. That big one can come from nowhere sometimes.
That's it, mate. Yeah, look at the run Edward just got there. So, I mean, he's happy that like, it's early days. Edward's smart. He's just cruising. But even just that little run, you can see him riding on board with him now, just ranging up on the back of the 35. And he's got not too far behind is the 83 of Matty Raymond. But that's just that energy in the air. So you can see how much it affects the cars. You can drive right to the back of that 35 in front of him.
Yeah, that's it. You do get a big tow, and it's almost like it's almost like turbo lag sometimes when you get the draft kicking in. So you sort of have nothing, and then all of a sudden you have a huge amount of speed from nowhere, and it can catch you by surprise sometimes, can't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like they used to say about Dale Earnhardt, you can see there as Hamish drops down to the bottom line. So they're interesting move. Oh, the Rubin's got down on the apron. He's got to do well to hold on to that. That's a bit nervous, I think. I'm not sure if he was expecting it, but he's gathered it up. But Hamish drops to the bottom now, and looks like Josh will probably do the same thing here. And there he goes. So now you've got the 35 and the 53 of Edward Foster up the top, and two Mission Motorsport cars down the bottom. So effectively, you could almost call them teammates, being teammates from last year. The 33 and 53, sorry, so the 35 and 53. So those guys probably work together and run that outside line.
Yeah, they're going to want to try and run that outside line and keep up with the leaders at least, because there's been a few cars dropping off that top pack now. Now the Mitch Motorsport team with Josh Mickelmore and Hamish Gallagher have almost blocked off that rear line from the charge from Ruben Phelps and Raymond Yeager there. Good move by them, but you could see then when Phelps had that car drop down in front of him, just lost that little bit of rear downforce. Front downforce even, and the car just lifted up a little bit, and he just had a big wobble across the track. So easy to have happen as well, and that's another thing in pack racing that is a little bit different sometimes as we're coming up to a car that is a lap down at the moment, the 93 there.
Curtis has fallen off the pack there, eh? So they're going to put him a lap down early here, but so he's going to jump on the end of this train. He'll be able to stay with these guys for now, but not ideal, being lap 12, but he must have been hanging back there to stay out of trouble, but he's just lost the pack there. So, but yeah, you don't want to be getting onto that apron either. So you touch that apron, it's sort of just the different angles from that flat to the banking. There's not too much flex in these vehicles, so the suspension's pretty firm, and yeah, it'll unbalance that car and get you sideways.
Yeah, these things run very low as well. That's the other thing, is that there's not much gap between the front of the car and the road itself. And when you get on that apron, when you've got the gradient of the corner, that can really affect you as well.
Yeah, usually the wheel isn't actually touching the ground, so but that's okay. Ryan Phelps, sorry, I keep calling him Ryan. Ruben Phelps won't have to worry too much. As I said, it's only early days. He can just sit in there now and just ride comfortably. He's got Raymond Yeager behind him, so nothing to panic about here. Just yeah, run your race, and just little mistakes, take them out of your game, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, that's it. And the other thing as well now is he's going to be saving a bit more fuel than he was before. Of course, the cars that lead the charge are the ones that use up the most fuel, and they will have to hit a little bit earlier than the rest of the pack, of course, because they're munching away at their fuel levels. And that can sometimes catch you out by mistake if, of course, you have a caution or something like that just after you've pitted. It can absolutely ruin your race, or sometimes it can be a blessing in disguise. So, you know, there are a few things that can work like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So lap 14, coming up to lap 15 now. So a lot of these guys would have been sort of, the nerves will be slowly starting to settle now, get themselves into a rhythm. Good, clean start to this race is what you want to see. So the fuel window, I think, is about lap 33 to about 38. Any time in there, depending on where you are running in the pack and whatnot. But here we go. We're going to about to put a lap car down again here on the outside. He just gets the wall there.
Big moment there for Michael Shaw.
Off the wall there.
Bouncing, but he's managed to hold it and keep it away from the pack. So he's managed to sort of sort of save it there, save disaster, but that's not going to be good for the car. That's going to cause some damage for the vehicle, and of course, you don't want aero damage on a track like Daytona.
Yeah, absolutely. So even small brushes like that against the wall can cripple the guards and make damage. And when they get damaged, they also wear the tyres a bit more too. So yeah, not ideal, but he will be able to repair that to some degree. But yeah, it sort of scattered to pack up the front a bit there. The guys are a bit nervous. So some of the radios lit up on the track there. So yeah, interesting times.
Yeah, the other thing, of course, about oval racing is you don't have blue flags. You don't have to let the leaders pass. You don't really have much choice on a super speedway like this, because when you've got the pack coming up behind you, there's not much you can do about it, really, is there? But you can, of course, just link yourself into the group and into the pack, and then just race with them. You're not obliged to just let everybody through like on a road race where there's blue flags, things like that. You are racing for your position, and it's a valid position to have if you're the first car a lap down, and if that caution comes out, you get the lucky dog, of course, and you get back on the lead lap. It can be a crucial moment for your race.
Yeah, absolutely right. So they'll just drop back now, and they can just jump into that pack wherever they want, basically. You're a lap down, but you're still running your own race. You want to stay in this, so you don't want to go just letting everybody by and then fall off the pack again. You'll just go another lap down. So you want to just get straight back into the pack and, yeah, just run your race, take your runs when they come, and just make sure you're the first car when the caution does come out.
Yeah, it's all part of that big strategy, isn't it? It's as I say, it's like playing chess at a couple of hundred kilometers per hour. You know, you're traveling at 300 plus kilometers per hour trying to play a game of chess. Not the easiest thing to do. There's a lot of mental exhaustion that goes on for these drivers as well, because some of them don't have teammates. They have to work out their pit strategy and all that. Oh, just mid-pack there, we have a bit of a moment for one of the cars, for James Robbie, actually. James Robbie in Pace Syndicate just had a big moment through the corner, and that was a very close one.
Yeah, I didn't catch that one, Carl. Good spotting there. I think I see the car there, though, but I think it might have been in front of Neil Pearson, actually. Or might be on the other cars there, but yeah, good spotting there, Carl.
Yeah, so he just had a moment mid-corner in front of Stephen Williams, I think it was, and a lot of cars just having to back off a little bit there, and that's broken the pack up a little bit more.
Interesting move. Edwards had enough to run on the outside, so he just finds a gap, drops down, and Neil Pearson, who I spoke of before, he actually jumps up. I believe that's Neil Pearson. I better just check. Yeah, it is him. So he's just jumped up in front of the 35 now. So one goes in, one goes out.
You're allowed the mistakes. You're new to the box. You're allowed to make the paint job mistakes.
Oh, that's it. First round, mate. So new cars, new teams, new drivers. We'll get it sorted by the end of today. I guarantee it.
We'll use it as an excuse all year long.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Foster trying to get a position. It is that thing as well, as, you know, when you're running on that outside for a long time and you're not really making up positions, you sort of feel like you need to do something different, don't you, sometimes?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you can't stay there forever, and you see the 35 with an aggressive move down to slot in behind the 53 now. So those cars, that outside line, there's nothing going to be going on there. So that'll slowly drift back. Depends on how the bottom line goes. If they're just cruising, they can back it up. But right now, they're not making any time on top. So we probably won't be far away from seeing single files. Matty Raymond drops down as I speak into that bottom line. So there's only two cars on that outside now who are just cruising. James probably looks like one, and Neil Pearson. He made that move out. Now he's hung out to dry. So he'll find his way back in the line, and he'll go. Oh, right, Ruben Phelps. He got loose off fall there, and then Edward must have got in the back of Raymond there, and yeah, that scattered the pack. So now we're back to two wide, but yeah, big moment for Ruben Phelps. Did well to hang on to that. I thought he might have been going to the wall.
Yeah, that was a big moment, and good job from those drivers to sort of not check up too much. And
see the replay here on screen now. You just watch as he comes off four. He just touches the apron. Watch him. Oh, geez, I tell you what, that's not far from lights out, basically. So it scattered the pack. You can see behind there, Edward. Obviously, Raymond checked up a bit. Edward might have got into back of him a little bit, but they sorted it out. We're still green, luckily for them.
Obviously, a moment like that far up the pack as well, you would have had a fair few people just clenching their teeth in that moment, because that can be a very big accident waiting to happen.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's all it takes is you saw him just with the left front, just drag that splitter on the flat of the apron there, just unsettled it. So it's very easy to do, especially when you're riding behind these cars, and especially as this race goes on, you'll get a bit tired, so a bit of fatigue comes in, and you get complacent. It's easy to grab that apron.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so just going to grab down Mirko Dortonak now. Early retirement from the race, possibly. Mirko, how you going? Oh, you're still going. Oh, how you going, Mirko?
Mate. Thanks.
Sorry, I was just looking for you in the field, and then I discovered you were there. I thought you jumped in for a quick chat as you were going through. How's it going out there, Mirko?
Oh, well, right now we're trying to catch up. I think it's the second pack. We're in the last pack, so it's a little bit hard at the moment, but car's clean. Everybody in the pack seems in a line, so hopefully get a good result.
That's it, Marco. That's it. Just head down, mate. Keep plugging away at it. Stay on the inside line, mate. That's the safest zone, mate. Hopefully I've taught you something.
Oh, you have, mate, but still a little bit rusty with the off-season, but we're doing okay.
Good man. Mirko, our impromptu in-race reporter there.
Yeah, no worries, mate, anytime.
Thank you so much, Mirko. We might grab you down again in a bit, just as the race progresses. But good luck with that second pack. Hopefully you can start catching up to the main one.
No worries, cheers, boys.
Okay, Dornak there. Just running in that second pack. Just a bit further down at the moment. Sorry, I thought he was in the infield care centre there for a moment. Wrong ones, but that's okay. He's down there with John Sorensen in 34th, 35th, 36th place. And those guys have got a nice little pack running, trying to catch up to the sort of next big group, which is the sort of pack from about 27th down sort of area. So at the moment, we've got about 3 packs racing on the track.
Yeah, and just going back through the pack just to see what teammates are wearing. You've got the Crank Esports teammates all lined up here. You've got 43 of Luke Hare, leading 350 of Skurlock, and team boss Pernell in behind there. So those guys found each other on this race, and they're just content to just ride for now. They do have a few cars behind them, so they're in the middle of the pack, but at the moment it's single file, so it's not as risky as it would be if it was too wide.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, sort of right now, I think I'm already starting to calm down a little bit, just get into the pace of the race, and of course everybody's going to be starting to think about that first pit stop as well. Now we're getting into those sort of those laps where you start having to think about the first stop for fuel. It'll be about 10 laps, I think, until we start seeing everybody sort of popping in for fuel for needed fuel stops. But of course, those guys running in the pack a little bit further down will be able to go maybe a lap or two longer just from fuel saving.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes, in my book, sometimes it's better to go before the pack. If you just got a couple of cars like those 3 Crank Esports cars, if they were to go a lap before, and then the pack seems to come in, and you get 10 or more cars, you can sort of fumble over each other under that pit entry, and you can sometimes it can cost you a race. I've actually been turned coming to pit entry and ended up in a wreck. So. It can end your race, but yeah, sometimes if you want to make the best pit stop as you can, just to keep that track position. So sometimes it's better to come before the pack and then get back out and run your laps, because then the pack will eventually catch you, but you're made a bit of time on it.
Yeah, that's it. If you can get out and actually jump on the back of the pack or jump on the back of some fast cars, it can really help you out. And of course, the pit stops can sort of stagger a few people and split them up, of course, because you do lose some time in the pits, and sometimes you lose more than others, because you might have somebody needing to take left side tyres or something like that, or right side tyres, of course. Maybe they'll go a little bit lighter on fuel. Maybe they've got a little bit less fuel to grab because they've been running in the pack, and you can come out with almost a couple of seconds difference sometimes between all the cars that pit in, and then of course clean in the pit stop is the hard thing sometimes.
Yeah, that's it. Expect them to come down. I would say no tyres on this first stop being on the green. They'll probably just take fuel only for now, and probably get tyres next time by, just to speed up that process as well. And you've got to remember they're coming in at, as you've seen on the graphic on the TV before, they're doing 315k an hour, so you come off turn 4, you've got to get that down to I think it's about 80 or 90. I can't off the top of my head. I think it's 90 k an hour. So that's a big difference. And when you've got a lot of cars coming in, it's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, 97 kilometers per hour in the pit lane officially, but you generally want to set about 95 just to be extra safe. It's again, that's one of the other talents, of course, because there's no pit speed limiters. That's the other thing as well, but it's very different in this series. Is you don't have a speed limiter on the car, so when you come into the pit stop, you've got to use that pedal to keep it at the right speed, and that's a lot trickier than it sounds.
Yeah, that's right. No pit limiters in stock cars, so it's all measured by yourself with that right foot, basically, and easy to speed, easy to lose time by not going fast enough, being too cautious. So yeah, it is a fair amount involved getting these cars pulled up and on the right spot. You can pull up too early, you can pull up too late. When you get too late, I was watching in practice a couple of guys pulling up. Jason Martin, he just slid straight past the commitment cone basically, and that'll ruin your race if he does that today in this race.
Yeah, and it's so easy to do as well. You can see a few cars just darting out of the line here at the front now, just as they're getting a little bit warm. Maybe they're just trying to get a little bit of fresh air into the radiator, just cool themselves down a little bit here and there. You can see Hamish Gallagher sort of keeping right up there with his teammate, but they are starting to move out a little bit now just to get a bit more fresh air into the car and cool themselves down a bit.
Yeah, so we won't be too far away. Remembering Josh has led a lot of laps out the front of this pack, so he's going to be using the most fuel out of everybody here. So expect the Mitch Motorsports cars coming first. So you would imagine that the 13 of Hamish Gallagher will go with him, and not only 2 cars back, you can see Jason Martin there as well. So those guys, expect those guys to come down and possibly be the first lot to take that service.
Yeah, got Danny G up there as well, so he might look at coming in with them too and trying to hook up and get a little bit of a train running for that team. Obviously, if you can get that working, work quite well. And again, that's all part of the strategy of oval racing and this super speedway racing as well, which is just so very different to your regular racing.
Yeah, definitely, it's all part and parcel, and it's all about communication, good communication, and teamwork, as you saw in the races last night. The teammates helped each other out in getting the race win, and vice versa, being in the race for Luke Treher.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant job from Treher to get back up into the position he did. A lot of help there from his teammate Michael Skurlock as well, who had his place locked in to the race, but in the end it worked out quite well for Treher, getting a relatively decent start mid-pack at the end of that one. As you saw, Treher and Skurlock were actually starting next to each other after all of their after Treher's little bit of a rough night all in all, but things can come back to you if things do go wrong. It's not the end. You have to keep on going sometimes.
Yeah, well, that's right. Last night it was more about not so much the win, although the win is good. Last night was about getting into this race, so this is the one you want to be a part of. You don't want to miss out. You want to be sitting on the sidelines watching or listening to us, basically. So you could see last night that Skurlock was at the front of that pack, sitting about third, with a chance to win the race. But you saw him; he gave that up and went back and found his teammate, and just ensured that they got all those cranky sports cars into this race today.
Yeah, and that's the big thing, is having those extra bullets as well, of course, for the Daytona win, because with teams, obviously, as you have a little bit more of a chance of getting that win because you've got a bit more help out there. It can be quite hard if you're out there as an independent. Not to say it's impossible as an independent. Has been done before, and it is one of those things that can be done, but it is much easier when you've got a couple of teammates around you for sure.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you got to imagine, like Hamish Gallagher, he didn't have a team. He was just running on his own last year, and he done some good things on his own. So expect him to go even better with some teammates there to help him out, and he can feed off them, and they can feed off him as well. So he might just step it up another level this year, and might be in the fight for the championship.
Yeah, of course. He didn't do too badly last year, if memory serves me correctly. I think he was in the top 3 at the end of it all of the chase, which was a damn good result for him over the season. Really breakout star last year, you can say. Obviously, Foster taking his first championship, that's got to be the big one. But Hamish Gallagher did really announce his arrival up to the top. And got to say the same thing about GACW, Joshua Carroll-Walton. He was sort of just tapping on the top, not the year before, of course. And last year he really started cemented himself in the top sort of 10 drivers as well, really working his way up there. And we've seen that with a few new drivers lately, just really starting to push to the front and showing that they have got the pace of these veterans as well, and just telling them that we're coming for you.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I don't think we're too far away from pit stops here, so we'll just keep an eye on him here. But yeah, Edward definitely impressed me towards the end of last year. I wasn't around much, but I was keeping a close eye on what was happening, and yeah, he found a purple patch. He started winning. He started getting top. Like, I don't think he finished out of the top 3 in a lot of those races towards the end of the season there. So he's found some form, and he's going to try and carry that into this year. But yeah, he definitely was a class act last year.
Yeah, that's it. If you're going to finish strong, you want to finish it strong at the end of the season, especially in a chase situation, and he did that well. So Phil Otto coming in, first guy to come in by the looks of it, from my streaming the screen settings. So I think Phil Otto is going to be coming in shortly. So that will be the first stop of the race on lap 36.
Ruben Phelps again on the apron there, just in the tribal. You don't want to do that too much. I mean, I'm not sure. He might have come in with Jason Martin, or they might be still on track. I'm not sure. But then we're not too far away now. You can see the pack starting to spread out a little bit here. So there you go. We've got a pack coming down now. So Jason's just pulled the trigger. He's, as you said, he's got Phil Otto coming with him. So Phil's going to pull up one of the last the bays there. So that makes it nice and easy. You can see Riley Curtis lap down there behind him.
Jason Martin really messing up his stop there. You were just saying before about missing your actual pit stop, and Jason Martin just missed his terribly. So that's going to hurt him out in this race.
And here come the Mitch cars, the 2 guys at the front. Denny G's also coming behind him. Someone's coming in very hot there. He gets into the grass. He might have just got it pulled up there. Who was that? Just trying to find out who it was. Devon Stove, using everything to get that thing pulled up. So I think Edward Foster has now inherited the lead by that, and I'd say they would probably come in the next lap.
Yeah, Ruben Phelps is in the lead at the moment. He didn't come in with this. He didn't come in just yet. He's still out there with Raymond Yeager. But I think a lot of them are coming in this time round. So we're going to get a big influx of cars, and this is really the danger point now, as this is where things can go wrong quite quickly.
Yeah, you got the Barley cars there. They're going to come in. Edward's going to go around for another lap with the 35. So a couple of Barley cars coming in there. There's another third one down there. Crank Esport, I think, in the background there as well, coming down pit road. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 10 cars here coming in for this stop. So the guys out front are just going to push those fuel numbers out. It can work in your favour. Looks like everybody got pulled up on the march pretty well there. So, yeah, as you said, Jason Martin missing his bay as Ruben Phelps misses his stop. So he had to reverse there. That can cost you. That can actually lose the pack, and you can go find yourself on your own out there.
Yeah, that's it. It's can be troublesome, of course, if you do end up getting stuck out there on your own, because you lose so much speed, of course. At the moment, that front pack's working quite well because they've managed to have quite a few cars there pitting in this time round, though. So in comes Foster, Carroll-Walton, Neil Pearson, Stephen Williams.
Josh is sideways. He's got it crossed up. He gets it stopped somehow. Jeez, I tell you what, JCW just sliding the tyres there. Yeah, very, what do you call it? Artistic, I don't know what you call it, but very flamboyant pit entry there.
Yeah, that was that was definitely a bit of a skidding entry there. Looks like a few people are taking tyres from the pit stops. I'm seeing the cars going up on the jacks. So I've seen a few people take tyres through these stops. Looks like JCW just taking the outside tyres only. But yeah, I did notice a couple of cars taking all 4 tyres on the pit stops. So there's a few different strategies starting to play out now.
Yeah, I'm just trying to pick up who's the actually leading this. I think the pack that's coming out now is Edward Foster still coming out of the pit bay there. So Josh must have had a bad stop because he's maybe he's ahead of everybody else. Actually, maybe he had a good stop. He had a real good stop, as a matter of fact. So he didn't take tyres. He would have only taken fuel by the looks of it. And yeah, he's out in front of that pack. But you can see in the background that pack is coming, and it's scattered all over the back straight there. Oh, they reckon back there.
Oh, big wreck towards the back. Wait. Looks like Cleo and Griffiths there. So big moment there.
Just
We'll
going to
go
get us
back.
a replay. Oh, someone's come up there into almost into the Cranky Sport car there. Who's at the 26? So Ryan Bull checks up hard. And the 26 of Billy Hickey nearly gets into the 350. It does actually rub Skurlock, and unfortunately, gets turned hard into that outside fence.
Yeah, big hit for the 26 there as well. It's
Yeah, so all that eventuated from a slow, like you could see in the back of the shot, all the cars coming out on the pit road, and it was really scattered. And Ryan Bull just checked up, and Billy wasn't ready for it. Went out towards go outside, and he had a car on his outside, and then the rest is history there.
well, we did mention the fact that after pit stops there is that chance that a caution can come out, and well, it has happened.
Yeah, it certainly has. Just awkward. That's all that is. It's no one's fault. Sort of. It's hard to lay blame on anyone there. Just the awkwardness of the cars coming out of the pit lane. I don't know whether Ryan had just come out of the pit lane, but just a small checkup like that can ruin your day.
Absolutely, and you can sometimes be an unfortunate passenger in that as well, and that's the the sad part of a crash like that is, you can be completely not at fault and get caught up in something like that, and it can really affect your day poorly.
Yeah, definitely. So the pace car has got this field under control now. So lap 42, lap 41 was our first yellow there, just after the green flag stop start. I think everybody had cycled through by that point anyway, so that was the last of the stoppers, I believe. So I'm not sure who's going to get the lucky dog here. I can see someone tearing up the outside now, so it looks like maybe a pace car. Find out. He's coming up. It is. Oh, I've just lost it. I've pushed the wrong button.
I've got a feeling it's Daniel Stevens. So Daniel Stevens, I think, is the lucky dog on that one. So he'll get back on the lead lap in the Middle Finger Racing team.
Right.
Daniel Stevens will be back on the lead lap. So that's worked out quite well for him in that respect. A few guys coming in as well to the pit lane, of course, to fix up their cars after that incident. Also to top up on fuel. And that's another thing that people can do now is, of course, the pace car is out. So there is a chance to just chuck a little bit more fuel in there. Put some. If you didn't change tires, you can change tires now. Put some new tires on there. Put some fresh rubber. Effectively, you sort of might lose a few positions, but you're not losing too much time when you're pitting under caution.
Yeah, look. In this instance, if I'm from 10th back, I'm pitting under this caution. Just to top that tank up, tires if you want it, not necessarily, but just to top that tank up, just separate yourself from the pack. It's going to give you an extra couple of laps of fuel, so it might come in handy basically when they run the race backwards. So it might come to you later. You might find yourself with a fuel race and you've got an extra 2 laps or 3 laps in your tank. It can come back to you.
Absolutely, it can really come back to save you sometimes, and sometimes if you work it out wrong, it doesn't work out too great. But if you work it out right, it can really pay off for you and really help you out there. So it looks like everybody from 17th down came in for a second stop. So that's Chris Purnell onwards. So Chris Purnell and Luke Trahir have actually linked up with each other for this now. So that will be quite useful for that team.
That's it. So for me, that's a smart option, just because we're about to go too wide again here. So it's going to be, as you say, safety cars. Well, in this nature, it's pace cars breeds pace cars. There's more risk of getting in an accident now because we're 2x2 about to have a restart. So for me, I would have stopped, just taken my service, and still too early in this race to be worried about racing. Just hanging out there at the back.
Yep. You now have to put $1 in the safety car jar. JP funded us last year for that one, thankfully. But of course, pace cars breed pace cars, and cautions breed cautions. It is always the thing, no matter what form of racing you do. It is always the issue that happens. Of course, when you're under the pace car, when you're under the caution, you do lose tyre temperature, you do lose tyre pressure, cars are going a bit slower, and then you have to get the restart working, and sometimes the car doesn't feel like it did before. There are so many little variables at the time of the restart, and that can really, really throw you off.
Yeah, have a look at the pictures on your screen there. You've got the full pack. Doesn't it look good? 43 cars. Well, I mean, not 43 anymore, but there was 43 to start this race. Doesn't it look good?
It looks brilliant, doesn't it? When you've got all those cars out on track, there is it's a bit of a special feeling, isn't it? It's just seeing so many cars out there, and you don't get that too often these days. As pace car comes in, and we go green again on lap 43 of the Daytona 500. Josh Mickelmore getting a good launch away. He's got his teammate locking in behind him now of Hamish Gallagher. Danny G there in third now. Looks like Mitch Motorsport have worked that one out perfectly to get their cars up in the top three.
Yeah, definitely. That's worked out perfectly for them. You could see they were sort of just right in the middle of the track there. It looked like the 35 of Josh was about to have a little dive underneath Danny G, the 24, but he just covered it off. So once again, Josh is in amongst the Mitch cars. Worked for him last night for a top 3 or 4 finish something like that last night. So yeah, he's in good company again.
Yeah, that's it. JCW getting the third place last night, working with those Mitch Motorsport cars. But of course, there are only 2 Mitch Motorsport cars at the front. Now there are 3 of them, so that's going to make life a little bit harder, of course.
Yeah, that's it. And goes back to remember Jason Martin slid through.
Oh, and we got a car around on the back.
Big wreck. That's going to be taken out. A few cars there. Actually, some crazy
Braden Thomas
cars.
there. Braden Thomas, the 05 into the wall. Just in the try. Where were we? Just lost that for a moment, just in a triangle. He's just lost the back end, and that's gone into Skurlock. A few other drivers, Bill Hickey, a fair few drivers caught up in that, unfortunately.
Yeah, he just got loose on that outside there, so they can get loose, and Michael Skurlock's been caught up in that one. Let's just have a look, and the 920 actually went through him, glitched through him, luckily for Chris there, but fortunately Skurlock got caught up in that one. Yeah, it's very early. As we said, pace cars breed pace cars.
Yeah, the unfortunate fact, and it just looked like just a little bit loose there, looser than expected, really, wasn't it? It was one of those moments where the car just got loose for a moment, and you just didn't expect it to happen. And that's the thing we're saying is, it's so easy to have happen on a track like this. As I say, tyre pressures are down a little bit. You come round for that lap, and you think everything will be fine, and all of a sudden the car just drifts up a little bit higher than you expect. You get on a marble, and at this stage of the race, of course, the track does get a little bit of dirt on the outside, and that can really, really catch you off guard.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Chris Purnell can probably thank his lucky stars. I don't think he's got any damage on that car. He actually got the right front wheel of the car that spun out there, but it sort of glitched, so I don't think there's any damage. And then Skurlock's gone to the apron to try and get around it, and it's just basically followed him down there, and he's had nowhere to go.
Yeah, magnetic moment towards Skurlock, and that really was unfortunate there, because it was working kind of well for the team there, because all 3 of them were almost in a row, and then the worst case scenario happened. As you say, Skurlock just got, Purnell just got the absolute luck of the gods there. If there's no damage to that car, he's just got very lucky.
Yeah, well, that's it, and that's what I was saying. It's high-risk stuff being in that pack, so for me, I would just like to hang back. So we're about to come into the box. We just want to see how much damage they get fixed on this 350 of Skurlock. Just trying to have a look. So yeah, he's in the pit lane now. There's a few others taking some service. Just top the tanks up again. Why not? Be back in that pack. And those mechanics are going to go to work on that car just to try and fix up that front right.
Yeah, again, just topping up that fuel, getting the old E-hammer out, and just making those fenders a little bit straighter. All can be quite handy.
Yeah, so it's not the end of the world. It's not ideal, but so long as he can stay in the pack, he'll get away with it. But yeah, just makes it harder trying to lead a pack, and yeah, if he's tucked in behind, he might get away with that and continue to march on this race.
Yeah, it can give you back a bit of an opportunity, a bit of a chance sometimes, and you're never out of it. You can never rule yourself out unless you're maybe 10 or 12 laps down. That can be a moment where you go, well, I don't think we're going to get much out of this. But at the moment, Scott Griffiths 3 laps down, Nathan Button's 2 laps down. Everybody else from Nigel Patton to Bill Hickey is just a single lap down. So they've still got a chance of getting on the lead lap, but there are some seriously damaged cars out there now as well. And that's one thing that they've got to start keeping an eye out for, because there is a minimum time around the track. I think it's 51 seconds a lap time. So if you're starting to drop into those 50-second lap times, then you're going to have to pull it in to get some more repairs done, or put the car under the out of the pit lane and retire it, unfortunately, because it can be very dangerous having a slow running car around this track.
Yeah, that's it. So there's a minimum speed. They measure it in time, and yeah, if you can't meet that, then you got to take the car behind the wall, and that's your day done, unfortunately. But yeah, as you said, it's more of a safety thing, and rather than just trundling around, the speed difference would just cause havoc.
Yeah, when you're catching people and there's 30, 40 kilometer per hour speed difference between you, if you do that on the road, you know how dangerous that is. But when you're racing in on an oval track with really essentially 3 lines, but you just want to be using 2 of them, it can become extremely dangerous. And you can't really see much as well from these cars. That's one of the other things that you sort of kind of forget when you're pack racing, is when you're second, third in the pack, you can't really see much in front of you. You just got to hope that nobody's spinning up there, and that you sort of get a glimpse of an accident if it's coming, because all you can see is the rear of that car in front of you.
Yeah, for sure, and they got that big rear wing on them, albeit 50% of it is clear for that reason, so you can try and see through the car in front of you. But yeah, it's very limited, the spatial awareness of what you can actually see in these cars when you're right up behind them up in that rear bumper.
Yeah, it's, racing cars are not known for their great visibility out the front windscreen anyway, especially with the sides of these cars. When you're sitting in them, you have the seats, of course, things like that, and not exactly the greatest side windows, and not the greatest mirrors sometimes as well. But it is very tricky for visibility, and when you're in the pack, it just gets harder and harder and harder. But we will be going back to green as the pace car is about to come in on lap 48. Not even a quarter of the way through this race at the moment. There is still a long way to go as we go green here at Daytona. Josh Mickelmore is going to lead away with Hamish Gallagher on the outside. He's going to try and link up quite quickly, I imagine, with his teammate of Danny G. They go up to the high side first of all to block that high line, come back down in front of Danny G to lock themselves in 3 cars there for the Mitch Motorsport team.
Yeah, pretty standard start there. It's exactly what they did last time. They've got that sort of down packed, and already the cars have dropped out of that top line, so there's only a single car up the front there running on his own. So those cars, actually, Matty Raymond jumps up there. We saw last night he enjoyed running up the top, but sometimes that can be a risk, because if something is to go wrong, you've got no way out. Whereas running on the bottom, you can get to the apron or whatever, but if you're up top, it's either the wall or the car on the inside, so it does make it hard if something does go wrong, as Edward gets a bit of a wiggle off turn 4 there, back there, but keeps it under control.
Yeah, manages to get that back under control again. That experience coming into play there, and that's the big thing there. And it's just getting used to these cars and just getting used to how they work. Of course, it's going to be harder for those guys towards the back that were involved in that incident, of course, because they've now got cars that are going to be handling different when the aero changes, when as you say, when you get fender damage to the cars, tires wear differently. It can really make things a little bit more difficult for you.
Yeah, certainly. You don't want damages early in the race, as we just hit a quarter of the race distance. So only lap 50 of 200, remember. So a lot of time to come, a lot of hours to go here yet. Hopefully you stick with us to the end.
Yeah, it's a full race. It's not often we get the full races here on the channel, and there's a reason for that, because they are very long. But it's great when we get them, and the Daytona event is a standout event for that, because it is just it has such a historical importance to the NASCAR series. Of course, the National Stock Car Racing Series in America is one of the most important races you can win.
Yeah, that's it. And you can see on that outside now is a 21. So for me, if he's coming up there, Edward's about to jump up behind him. So what I would do if I was in the front pack here was, if Josh and Hamish, I'd just slow that inside line down and let your teammate come around the outside, and then you'll have all 4 cars there at the point. So that's the games you can play here. You can slow the pack down and bring that 21 up around the outside. So he's on his way. He's got Edward for company behind him, who we know is fast. So we'll see what happens here. But I can almost guarantee once that 21 gets clear of the 31, he'll drop down in front of his teammates there.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised the 31 didn't try and jump up and get in the lead of that pack, in all honesty. I think he was looking for that gap, just couldn't quite make it work, because he does not want to be caught in a Mitch Motorsport train, and that's exactly what can happen here. Those cars are looking to slot Jason Martin into that pack, and Foster's seen what's happening here as well, so he's jumped onto the back of that sort of that charge almost to try and get himself up there. You've got Matthew Raymond, Paul Jackson just behind them as well. They're trying to get in there as well. They're all just trying to work that real estate now, try and get into a good spot and try and make this work now.
Yeah, so if I was the 13 Hamish, I'd just be rolling off it, not completely out of it, but just get off the back bumper of the 31 here, just to slow that inside pack up a little bit. And as you can see, there's a big run coming on the outside, and that'll just make it the job a bit easier to get Jason Martin down in front of Josh Mickelmore.
Yeah, big comeback from Jason Martin as well so far. He started 34th in this race, so he's worked his way up the pack very well, and it looks like he's getting
Not
a good
quite
patch
clear
here.
yet. So you can, as soon as he gets clear, you'll see that. Oh, we got one spinning in the background. He holds on to it. He saves it. He saves it in the background there, so he's going to continue on. But,
Paul Jackson there.
that's a hell of a save. He was destined to hit the wall there and gets it pulled up. So he'll get it back on the track. He might drop a lap, but it's better than being over and out.
Yeah, and while that was happening, that's allowed Jason Martin to slot in front of his teammates. So obviously a little bit of a break in the pack there was enough to give them the Mitch Motorsport cars a chance to just back up a little bit, allow Jason Martin to slot in with them there. Good save from Paul Jackson though. That was almost a very big accident.
Yeah, definitely. And as we saw, Martin drops down as prescribed. And you know what? If I'm Edward, I'm okay with that, because now you're just going to lead that front train outside, so you can just keep working away out there. Don't necessarily have to get to the front, don't have to get to the lead, but you've got less chance of hitting someone if there's no one in front of you.
Yeah, that's it. And as we say, you've got a bit more of a view as well. You can see what's going on in front of you too, and have a bit of a warning if something does happen when you are leading those packs, of course.
Yeah, so what have we got? 6 cars on the top side there now, so they're just working away. It'll come and go as the run goes on. Mitch Motorsport cars will just control the race, control that outside line from the inside. So yeah, basically, if I'm Edward, I'm just complacent, just to cruise and ride here with Matty Raymond behind me there, as long as he doesn't get too aggressive.
Yeah, getting sort of that working, of course, is the main thing. I'm just going to jump back a little bit to 27th place with Justin Witcher. He has got a bit of a activity hub Barley train running here with a few of his teammates, Ruben Phelps, Aim Shorts, Bradley Allison and Raymond Yeager there as well. They have all managed to sort of link up down there a little bit further away. A few of those cars have got some damage as well, so they're trying to get that pack working, that secondary pack working, to sort of keep up to pace at the moment, try and catch up to the rest of the teams up in the sort of top 20 now.
Yeah, certainly. I'm just trying to look through the guys that we did see drop back early. So we see that Riley Curtis has got his lap back, and so Paul Jackson did drop that lap as we thought it would happen. Or he may have even been lap down already, you're just in the pack. But yeah, so Michael Shaw is now the first car lap down at this point in time. Oh, someone's pulling up down there on the back straight. Yeah, obviously getting out of it. You don't have to be that kind, but he must have just saw something there and just wanted to get completely out of the way of these cars. So pulled it up. It's the right thing to do, but yeah.
Yeah, letting
fine to just keep going around there though.
Yeah, really being almost overly kind there. It's one of those moments when you see that pack coming though. If you've got that opportunity, it can sometimes be worth just really getting out of it. But yeah, lost a bit of time there for sure. That's going to cost a nice big chunk of time for that car.
Yeah, definitely. As I was saying last night, it's very intimidating to see that pack coming down on you, especially too wide. Easy to make a mistake by watching your mirrors too much. But yeah, he did the right thing there, but didn't have to be that kind. But anyway, it is what it is. He'll get back on the track and carry on. So now we've only got 2 cars up on that high side now, so a lot of single file here. There's a couple at the back there, but Matt Raymond, as per last night, is persisting with that. I'm not sure who's got for company. There might be who's that? Who's got there with him is
I think they're called
Kevin Stove. So I think he might be one of the. Oh no, he's an Aussie. I thought he was one of the Americans in the field, but no, I think he's the Aussie.
Yeah, I think we're Australian full at the moment. With everybody out there today, I think unfortunately Huff didn't make it through last night in the duels, unfortunately, so missed out on a position.
Just riding on board with Edward Foster here, just to get a feel for the pack there. So he's just ranging up on the back of the Mitch cars, which is Lenny G in front of him. No need to push. There's absolutely no need right now. You just cruise there, save fuel, save tyres, save the car, and just ride for now. But you can see you get in bursts of energy. You roll up forward and you just roll out of it. Yeah, just sit there and just bide your time.
Yeah, sort of holding station sometimes can be a good option, and as you say, like sitting that far back in the pack can help with the old fuel consumption, things like that as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it definitely helps fuel, especially in that pack. You can run 75% throttle in that pack and save a lot of fuel actually.
Yeah, we did see Foster stopping about 3 laps later than the front runners. Some of the front guys coming in a little bit earlier, so it does make a big difference. 3 laps here is a lot of mileage to cover. Of course. So up the front, Jason Martin is leading with Josh McMorran, Hamish Gallagher, and Danny G in the row, with Edward Foster there in 5th, Phil Otto 6th, 7th Josh Carroll Walden, Matthew Raymonds in 8th, 9th Neil Pearson, and Norman Clark has worked his way up to 10th as well. Good job for Norman there.
Yeah, so what was that last caution? You had the numbers there. When was that? What lap was that? Just so
Our last caution was on lap 45. So a lot of the front runners didn't come in. So the first guy that's come in twice from my little my little screen is actually Jason Martin. Apparently he's come in twice, and Phil Otto. So they've got about 5 more laps of fuel on board than the rest of the guys around them. 4 or 5 laps of fuel on board from the other guys around them. You have to go down to around about Stephen Williams, who stopped 3 times now, but he stopped about 16 laps ago. So he's got a lot more of a run to go, and there's quite a few cars with that that came in on that last caution. But Stephen Williams is currently leading the pack on those guys that came in on the last caution.
Yeah, so that'll just be able to go a bit deeper into the race here. As I said, it might not do anything for them now, but if we do stay green, which is hard to imagine being green all the way to the end, but if we do, it might make the difference between making it at the end on a fuel race.
Yeah, absolutely. It's it really does help cut it down a little bit. Most of these guys will want to try and cut it into almost like 4 stops if they can, but it's probably going to be a 5-stop race in all honesty, because it will be very, very hard to 4-stop it unless we get a lot of cautions, of course. But you'll probably be trying to make, obviously the less stops you make, the better it can be sometimes. But oval racing can be funny like that, is when people don't stop in cautions, is you can occasionally have people winning races with a couple of extra stops over the leaders just because they did stop in a caution and the leaders didn't thinking they could make it on fuel a little bit. We've got the outside line starting to form up now with Phil Otto and Neil Pearson. They're starting to make a push now, trying to get a little bit of momentum running on that outside line, trying to start to get a bit of a footnote on the Mitch Motorsport boys, but the Mitch team look to have it in control at the moment with those top 4 slots filled.
Yeah, you can see Aiden Schultz leading a Barley train here at the moment in the 52 there. He's got Bradley Allison behind him, Raymond Yeager behind him, and that must be Ruben. I'm not sure who the last car is there, but he's leading Matt Hunter and a few other cars there. So a bit of a Barley train happening there. Those guys are content just to ride where they are and just see this race out for now. Got Lachlan on board now, right on board with Lachlan behind that pack. See a couple of cars up there 2x2.
yeah, running that line a little bit, trying to make it work the best they can, and they're going to start to come up to a little bit of traffic eventually. It'll be a bit of time before they do, but they are starting to come up to a couple of cars that are a little bit out of the pack.
So you've got Lachlan just right in behind, I think that's Norman Clark in front of him, Storm Norman. Doing a great job, just right in there. We've got a slower car on the apron down there, just let the pack fly. It's a good job. Just trying to listen. There's a bit of communication between some of those drivers back there. We're talking about with the barley train back there. So those guys are obviously communicating and just making sure that they're putting their best foot forward. As you can see, the two white cars here. That's the I think that's the DPR cars, is it? Simrigs.com. So they're just making it work on the outside. As I said, the inside line's not pushing too hard. They're content to just the right as they are. But the guys on the outside are making a bit of a charge there of Phil Otto and Neil Pearson. Just want to make something happen. They're not happy to sit where they are, so they're just trying to get to the front and just testing out, see if they can get to the lead or not. And because that's what you want to do. You want to test here early just to see what you've got underneath you, whether or not you can challenge for the lead, and just put it in your memory bank for later in the race. But I'm not sure if we've lost Carl, but we can't hear him at the moment anyway. But yeah, the Simbricks.com's Chevrolet and Mustang, actually, they've got two different cars there, so two different makes, trying to go forward.
Yeah, the slight difference of two different makes, it's there's not much difference between those cars out on the ovals, and of course the beauty about NASCAR nowadays is very much a sort of almost a stock series, but they do have their slight differences to them, of course. One has a Ford badge and one has a Chevrolet badge.
Yeah, that's basically the difference, but yeah, just more stickers, different shaped stickers, pretty much.
That's it. The Mustang can have a little bit of a disadvantage having that little bit of extra sticker over its front grille. All these little things can make a difference. But yeah, very much stock, very much similar in their sort of designs and horsepower, racing, things like that. So not like the old days of NASCAR where you'd have the old Thunderbird out there and things like that, which would absolutely dominate a race until the Dodge Daytona, was it? I'm trying to think now. Trying to think back to real history there, but
Dodge, yeah, yep.
Real difference in the design and sort of make of cars, where nowadays it is, it's almost a stock series, but they do, of course, run the different engines and little differences here and there in the cars, of course.
There ain't nothing stock about a stock car.
They even have electrical bits nowadays, from what I hear, which is just not right.
Yeah, so there's two cars on the outside still persisting here. As I said, they might just be just seeing what they've got for later in the race. The downside of that is they will be using a bit more fuel than the other guys that are just cruising on the inside of them. And I mean, if they push too hard, they do run the risk of just overstepping the line a bit and just rub that car in front of you on that rear bumper the wrong way and possibly get up in an accident. But you can see the 51, I haven't seen him all day, Hardigan, he's just jumped out to the outside on the outside of Norman Clark there. So he's obviously got to run, just jumped out, maybe get a bit of fresh air. But yeah, we haven't seen too much of him. Actually, he gets a bit of a good run. So that inside line is, like I said, they're just cruising.
Yeah, you actually just read my mind as I was just about to talk about this battle down from 10th onwards. Quite a few cars down there that are looking a bit more racy now towards this stage of the race as we reach lap 71 of the race. And Jason Hardigan working his way out the field, of course, he started last, so 43rd, and he's currently running there in 12th, just slotting in between Lachlan Urquio and Norman Clark right there, former teammates. As we said, they're sort of almost a satellite team at the moment, but the new team of Natari Autosport, they're working well with the Simshed racing team, the JP Simshed team, of course, and just working their way up the field a little bit. And he's going to want to start working his way up. He's getting a bit closer to his own teammate now as well, which is quite good for him. They have a pretty decent train running though. So you've got Edward Foster, Joshua Carroll-Walton, Lachlan Urquhart, Jason Hardigan, Norman Clark, all in a line at the moment.
Yeah, as you can see at the front here, you've got those team cars up top. Neil Pearson was having a good push there, and you can see the inside line was spread up. Now you can see that Josh has seen it they were coming, just got on the back of the 21 and just pushed them out a little bit further. So, as I said, you can control that race, especially with 4 team cars on an inside line. You can control that outside line and dictate what actually happens. So, for them to get past would be a massive task right now.
Yeah, they'll need to get some help for sure. As just a moment there for Phil Otto, just getting so close to Danny G there. There was a hair's width between them there.
Yeah, no, nothing in that. So Phil Otto getting right down that quarter panel. Sometimes they can take the air off the rear wing of the 24 and actually get him loose, but they survived and we continue on.
Yeah, that's it. And it's one of those things that you say, the longer this race goes on, the harder it is on the drivers, of course, because they are very much, when you're driving 200 laps of Daytona, it's not an easy thing to do. It is a very physical thing to do, and also the mental challenge to it as well. 80 or 100 laps of this track is enough to make you almost cry from the mental fatigue of running side by side. It's so close as well in the drafts. So 200 laps of this is almost torture sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. When it's long green flag runs, you start to get numb feet. I know that from previous ones, and yeah, it can actually get hard to keep the car straight. So fatigue will come into it a little bit. I know it's only sim racing, and you're just sitting at home and probably your aircon, but these long green flag runs do take it out of you because the concentration level is still there. So. We can see Neil Pearson has just dropped off, so he must have got hot, or he's just had enough and seen what he needed to see, and now he's just dropping back. But Phil Otto is persisting on the outside. He will be using a lot more fuel, but he's able to run on his own out there, so that's fine for now.
Yeah, he's taking advantage quite a bit of the side draft, of course, which is effect from the cars. You do get a bit of the draft action to the side of the vehicle as well. You don't have to be running in a straight line to get a little bit of draft sometimes. It's not as effective, of course, but it can help you out and stick you to that spot for a little bit. He's hoping to see a gap emerge in that lower line, I imagine. But at the moment, behind him, there is a bit of a top line forming. We can just see it just at the back there with
Stephen Williams.
Yeah.
James Robbie, I think, behind him. So that's another team car coming to the front. So maybe that was what Pearson did. We maybe just drop back just so the 98 could pick up a bit of the draft, and they're coming back up front. But let's see, that inside line is not pushing at all. So that's why Phil Otto's been able to just hang out there on his own. So you watch as the 9 gets to the back of the 1 here, you'll see the 31 should push up to Jason Martin, and as I said, just control that. So I expect to see Josh Mickelmore push Jason Martin here, just get a bit more tight up that gap.
Yeah, big train there from the GPR Simridge team and the Pace Syndicate team with Bradley Cheney, Ryan Bull and James Robbie there. Those guys are sort of working it quite well at the moment, and they're getting a good push up on that top line. This could be a chance for one of them to drop down onto that lower line and just try and slow it down a little bit to try and get their pace to what they want to be running.
Well, that's it. As I said, the games you can play, the team games you can play. So if you can get Phil Otto to the lead to drop down, he can actually slow that pack up and then let those 2 cars on the outside go around, and then those guys will be the ones controlling. So you can dictate what happens here, but as I said, it will be a hard feat to get past that 21, especially with Josh behind. So Josh, as I said, he will just push up to the back of that 21 if it looks like they're about to pass. That's what should happen anyway, and he'll just give Jason a little nudge and just give him a bit of energy and push him out a bit further.
Yeah, that's it. It's always a menacing car to pass that purple 21, Jason Martin. He has got a lot of experience, a lot of records on the ANZCAR series, and a very successful driver as well. One of the drivers that is, well, one of the toughest drivers out there, I would say, and one of the biggest bits of competition you can have.
Yeah, certainly. And you can see in that pack, actually, Bradley Cheney in the 74, he's coming to the front. He actually won the duel last night, so he's got form. He's obviously keen to continue that and make something happen today.
Yeah, we've seen some really fast cars out there today, of course. Devin Stowe, I think, just coming into the pit lane there. just pulling out on his own, not actually mentioning to anyone. I heard a few of the radio just blasting off at that, but Devon Stove coming into the pit lane there, so he's come in for a stop.
That time by the one was very close to being clear of the 21 here, so interesting to see if Phil Lotto drops down. So he's clear right now. If I'll tell you what, the 9's almost clear as well. So there you go, Phil Lotto drops down now. So he's going to lead that lower line. And as I said, so if I'm Phil Lotto now, I'd be asking him just to roll out of it, not much. Hang on, actually green flag stops. So the Mitch Motorsport carts dive in the pit lane. Jason Martin is going to get that pulled up. He come in very hot. He's actually gone out of my screen, so I'm not sure if he got that pulled up, but now these cars are leading out the front.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think we're going to see a huge amount of cars coming into pit lane because it is just getting to that stage now for those guys that didn't pit under caution, that they are getting to that sort of 40 lap mark on the run. So I think we're going to see a fair few cars. I think we're going to see the DPR cars come in next this time round, because I don't think Phil Lotto is going to have much fuel left at all. So we'll see a fair few cars coming into the pit lane relatively shortly for another round of green flag stops.
Yeah, I'm just going back just to see if Jason got it pulled up, and it looks like he did. So good stop for him this time round. I think he's leading the Mitch cars back out there now. So all is well with the 21 there. So remembering that there's going to be split fuel strategies here as well. A couple of cars are going to be able to run longer here than others. So those Mitch cars have always been at the front. They only stopped on that first caution, which was, I think, about lap 41, possibly.
Lap 40 for that caution. So they stopped just before that. Actually, the Mitch Motorsports cars stopped on lap 37, I think it was.
Yeah. So there you go. So they haven't stopped. So they were always going to be the first to come in. Can you just confirm the team name of these cars out front for the white cars there?
That's the DPR cars.
It is the DPR cars, yeah.
DPR
so I did call it wrong.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure before I kept calling it DPR.
No, that's right. They've all come in and managed to pull it up quite quickly, and that's given James Robbie the lead of this race. He's going to get a lap led now. Looks like Foster's going to be pitting this lap as well, so it looks like the JP Simshed cars are going to be coming in this time round as well. So a few cars trying to work out their pit stops as... Oh!
I reckon down the back straight here. He's coming out of the pit. Hickey again, we're hearing on the radio that he's had another incident. So he's come out, he was inside the blue. I'm not sure what he's up to here, but I think he's just binned it on his own. I'm not sure what's going on there. It's very hard to lose. So that'll be him done for the day.
So just watching that again, looks like he's lost the rear end coming out of the pit lane and then just overdone it. So he's just overdone it with the car, just pushed a bit too hard, and that has that's ended his race early.
Sorry, just cut over here. I don't know if you get a replay back, but Matt Hunter's just been door slammed by the Ruben Phelps. He's just randomly gone straight up into the fence, coming into turn 3 on that last lap, and then just come down and got Matt Hunter. So he's on the grass. I'm not sure. Ruben Phelps might have been drifting or fell asleep at the wheel there, but he's just gone straight into the wall and then back into Matt Hunter. I have no idea what's going on there.
Yeah, we'll try and catch that on the replay if we can. I'm not being able to pull it up, unfortunately, so I can't see exactly what's happening. A lot of the front runners are coming in now of James Robbie and all of that lot. Interestingly, as I said, Chris Purnell has stayed out there, so those guys had a bit of extra fuel on board. So you have people like Chris Purnell, Luke Trahir, and James Robbie as well.
Here's the pit stop shuffle here.
Yeah.
Getting tired again. Purnell was up on the outside of Phil Lotto there. Just closed the door on him. Lucky not to get himself turned to the outside fence there from the 920, but 3 wide up front of him, Ryan Bull. He can just shuffle his pack up here, but I can see that Ruben Phelps has taken a car behind the wall now. So that's a bit of a shame for
Purnell and Trahir are coming in. So Bill Hickey as well as taking the car behind the wall. We'll try and grab a word with him once these pit stops have shaken out a little bit too. I'll see if we can find out what happened there for him.
I'd like to know what he was up to down on that back straight apron. That was madness. I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on there.
It's one of the things about this track. Sometimes you can find it can be a bit tricky on the exit. Sometimes on the cold tires, and I've done it myself a few times in practice, and just trying to get lap footage done and things like that. Is just on the exit, things just going very wrong. Up the front, we've got some serious racing going on with the Mitch Motorsport boys and Edward Foster as well. I think he was like mid-pack. They're going about 3 wide across the start-finish line there a couple of moments ago. There are a lot of 3 wide racing at the moment down the back straight. It is really a little bit choppy at the moment from about 11th down in the standings. So that it's all about pit stop shuffle, as you say. Everybody coming out, everybody rejoining and getting back on the track. It can really throw things out.
Yeah, so we're just waiting for the scoring to sock through. Jeez, big move from Edward Foster. Gee, man, that was crazy coming into turn 3 there. I'm not sure what actually happened, but I'm just going to go back and watch that because looks like the Crank Esports cars were involved in that. I'm not sure when they come off the pit road, but just running down, they were side by side for some reason, and yeah, just made the guys go right around the outside of them there. So side by side, the teammates. I'm not sure why that would be, but yeah, bit of a moment there for the pack.
Yeah, trying to get that one working for them, and they just didn't get it right at the time, unfortunately. So a shame about good avoidance skills there. You've got to say that was a big moment, and that would have been a moment where you really would have taken a deep breath, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was a bit odd. Like they must have been maybe wanted the 920 to lead, the 43 possibly, but yeah, just took a while to get that done. So I'm not sure what happened there, but obviously they were working on something, and yeah, the pack caught up on them very quickly.
Yeah, it did not work out for them there, unfortunately, and it's worked out kind of well in the in the sort of positioning, but it was a big moment there, and they have lost the main pack. So the main pack has broken free now, and that's Jason Martin, Josh Micklemore, Hamish Gallagher, Danny G, and
I'll tell you what, it's a Mitch Motorsports pack. That's what it is.
yeah,
so
it
top
is.
4 are the Mitch Motorsport cars, so they're just going to run their own race for now. So they came in early, remember? So on their own, as I said a bit earlier, that yeah, you can get caught up with other people's races. If you stop early, you can make up some good time.
Yeah, that's it. You can really make it work out, and they've got Devon Stove just on the back of them as well. He's the first car a lap down as well, so he is going to try and stick to them like a like a sticky thing, because if there is a caution, he'll get that wave around. He'll get the lucky dog.
Yeah, certainly. And you can see Edward Foster's leading the other train in 5th, so he's got the 2 Natari Autosports, which I believe he has some sort of ownership in that one with those guys there behind him. So he's got a few, I guess you could call them teammates with him.
Yeah, a few teammates does make life a lot easier, but now that the pack behind him has started working together a little bit, they're not working as side by side. Foster is starting to try and catch up to them. He's got a little bit more speed as well than those front runners, so those guys will start to catch up a little bit, but it's going to take a bit of time now.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of communication going on the track at the moment. Just turn those guys down. But yeah, so far so good for Mitch Motorsports, mate. They've been the class of the field so far. They've got themselves their own little pack going here. So yeah, we're about to 10 laps away from half race distance, and yeah, realistically, almost the perfect 100 laps for those guys.
Yeah, exactly. They've worked it out almost perfectly, linking themselves up. Jason Martin doing a great job to work his way from 34th on the grid and sort of connect up with those guys as well. And that's the thing is the working out and getting connected up at the front it just shows the sort of the skill set, managing to work your way through the pack, work your way through the field and get up there. I was saying before that the guys behind are just a little bit faster at the moment, and they're still sort of keeping up with the pace. They've got about 5 kilometers per hour on the lead pack, so they are going to start catching up relatively soon. Lap times.
Sorry, 8.8. So we're about to cross the line. We'll see how far. See if they've just closed that gap a little bit. Oh, Trahir's been wrecked. The 83 back in the pack there. Trahir's just been turned around by the 83 of Matty Raymond. Looks like they sort of just come down, met in the middle. So unlucky for those cars there. But Trahir, hard hit into the outside wall, as you can see in the replays here. So Trahir comes up. Oh, probably more Trahir. The 43 come up, I reckon, more than anything else. And hard hit on the outside. Who else got involved in that? One of the DPR cars, I believe, might be Neil Pearson. So, geez, crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it looked like Urquio was having a little bit of a wobble as well in front of him, and Trahir's just lifted off a little bit, and that's just lost him a little bit of grip, I think. And he's just it sort of, as the Urquio's gone down, it's almost like the front's lifted on Trahir, and that's left the car going up into the fence there. That's a big moment for Trahir. Big shame as well. Very fast running car, very fast running driver, and again, unfortunately, damage to the car, and that looks like it's going to be a big one to fix, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm just going to go back and have a bit better look at it. But, yeah, they definitely had a moment in front. And, geez, now I look at it, I was looking at it from the replay there, but could be 50-50. I think Matty Raymond came down a fair bit there, and I think they just met in the middle. So not ideal, a bit of damage to both cars. But, yeah, that'll be day done, I'd say, for the 43.
Yeah, real shame there. And it's going to be interesting to see who pits now. Obviously, you got to think that the Mitch Motorsport team might be thinking about it, but of course they're going to lose track position if they do. They've been out for 13 laps now, so there are a few cars out there that have only been out there for 10 laps. So it's sort of that sort of stage of the race where you really pit stop could be kind of useful right now, especially being that we're almost halfway through the race on lap 92.
Yeah, I'd say you'd see all cars come down pit lane here. You'd be mad not to, I'd say. But just have a look. Reese May got a little bit of damage in that as well from that last incident.
Yeah, we are getting a glut of cars coming into the pit lane now. It's a mad dash, and this is where it can be very hard to find your pit box. It can be very hard to get stopped on the right spot because it is just a sea of vehicles coming in. You've got almost, 40 cars coming in at the same time, and that could really throw you off your game.
Yeah, so Jason's taking his services on his way out. Looked like a pretty efficient stop. As the other Mitch boys actually, Edward's going to jump into this party here, so he should be always. Actually, Edward Nelly made contact. I think he did with Danny G on the outside. Maybe not aware because your spotter actually doesn't talk to you on your way out of the pit lane there. So maybe not aware the 24 was there. They just made a little light contact on the exit.
Yeah, very, very slight touch. And that spun Foster around a little bit. Danny G just had to go a little bit wide to avoid that as well. Hopefully he won't get pinged for crossing the yellow line there because he just crossed it to take avoiding action there. So we'll see how that goes. But that could be bad news for Danny G if it does pick him up for unsafe pit release. Because it'll be unfortunate if it does.
Yeah, sometimes. Oh, yeah, I think he'll get away with that. It's not. He's definitely on the line, but he's not over it. So I think he'll get away with that and be safe. But time will tell.
Yeah, very, very close there indeed. So yeah, that was a big moment, and that's gonna sort of get everybody able to have a little bit of a moment to breathe, have a bit of a shakedown, bit of a wiggle of the fingers and toes, things like that, of course. And cautions really can help you out in a race like this, of course, because it just gives you that moment to actually take a breath and sort of rejigger yourself, get back into the sort of position where you want to be in for the next coming green stint.
Yeah, so Mirko's on a lead lap here, so he's definitely going to be leading this race. So he's there by merit. So he is the leader. He obviously chose not to stop there. Maybe he thought get himself at the front of the pack. That's going to be his best chance for towards the end of this race. He will have to come in for fuel earlier than these other guys, but maybe he's banking on another caution. But yeah, for now he's thinking maybe the safest option is out front.
Yeah, Mirko was one of the latest ones to stop last time round, so he's only been out there 10 laps longer than everybody else. So he stopped a lot later than the rest. So he's only got.
So he's chosen track position over actually just topping up the tank. So we'll see how that works out for him. I think it's a good move. As I said, sometimes it's safe to be out the front. You've got no one to hit if there's no one in front of you.
Exactly. That's the big thing. It can make big difference. And it's always nice to lead the Daytona 500.
Yeah, he'll be credited with a bonus point for leading a lap. But that's exactly right.
It's a nice thing to say you've done it. If you can say you've done it, you can sort of go, "Yep, I've done that." Tick it off my list, and then go for the win next time round, of course.
Yeah, you go back and have a look at the results sheet. It'll show your name as led 3 laps at the Daytona 500. So that's always good. And as I said, you get that bonus point. You'll get 1 point for that every time. Well, not every time you lead a lap, but you just have to lead a lap and you get a bonus point. So that could come crucially down to getting in a chase or not at the end of the season.
Well, we did see this last year, of course. We had 11 drivers in the chase. Of course, normally it's only 10. Pace cars coming in, and the green flag's going to drop. Mirko Dornak's going to lead it away, and he does. He manages to get a good start there.
So Josh didn't get the best start on that higher side in the 31. Look who's behind them is the 920. So he's up there on his own as Trahir, who was just that last victim of that last caution. So Skurlock was in one earlier. So look for the 920 to probably be aggressive here and try and get amongst the Mitch cars here. But he does, a previous teammate is a 62, so look for those guys to link up.
Yeah, they have worked together in the past, of course, back in the old days of Illusion. But it looks like Mitch cars are going to drop down, and you could just see there Hamish Gallagher just squeezing that car in. There was a NASCAR-sized gap there, and he made the most of it there. He really did need to squeeze that car in, but he got it in there perfectly. So they've just come down in front of Dornak, and they're going to lead. Got Danny G on the outside now with the returning Chris Purnell, of course. Took a year out last year from the ANZCAR series, but is back this time out. New team, new teammates, and of course, lots of work with his Virtual Motorsport Mentor series. But up there at the front, Foster just behind him. So a lot of talent up the front end of the field right now.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what I expect to see at the front. So the cream rises to the top, as they say. So they're slowly making their way up. And what are we, halfway through the race? Just about. So halfway, these guys have slowly made their way to the front. Long green flag runs, that'll tend to happen. So on the long green flag runs, you don't want to get left behind. So there goes the 24, just going to drop down in front of his teammates as you would expect. And now Chris has got the lead on that outside line with the 53 of Everett Foster behind him.
Yeah, Dornak's the fly in the ointment for the Mitch Motorsport team at the moment, just blocking off Jason Martin from the rest of his teammates. But the top line lost a little bit of momentum there, and they've just fallen back a little bit. I was just about to say, the top 7 drivers in this race at the moment, all former race winners. And as it goes through, it was top 8 for a couple of moments there. You've got some serious amount of race winners up at the top of the field at the moment. And there are a fair few people that are definitely going to be race winners in the future for the series.
Yeah, certainly, mate. You got the 35 there, just rolling with his teammate behind him in the 51, and James Robbie. I think he's out there on his own in a pace car in his pace team, doing a good job on his own out there.
Yeah, he's keeping the car relatively locked in at the moment, and quite a few of the Pace Syndicate cars up around the sort of top 15, top 20 area, so they can start working their way together. If they can start linking up, they can start working things out as well, and still quite a few team cars together as well. You can see a fair few teammates managing to keep relatively close together at the moment, as we are on lap 98, so 102 laps remaining of this race. We're almost halfway. Quite an eventful race so far, but we've not even reached halfway.
No, that's it. I'll just check see how many cars are still on the lead lap. So there's quite a few. So we've still got 30 cars on the lead lap. So that's a good number. That means 30 cars are still in the running, plus a couple that are. If you're a single lap down, you're only a yellow flag away.
Yeah, it can come back to you quite quickly, and it's one of those things that, even just keeping out there, we've got, I was just looking down the field a little bit at some of the retirements, but Matt Hunter's still keeping out there after that bit of damage. He's 8 laps down at the moment, but he's keeping out there and keeping at a relatively okay pace from what I can see. So he's sort of just keeping out there and keeping on, really. So see how he goes. If he can get back onto a pack or something like that, he might be able to get a few extra positions in this race. And of course, every position does help out in the series, because you never know where you're going to finish in the championship. That little extra point, as I was saying before, can mean a difference between getting into the chase or not getting into the chase.
Yeah, definitely, Carl. That's right. And Something I don't want to mention, but I'm going to. Lap 100, as we work lap 100, we still to see the big one. Now, we usually get a big one, and what that means is a wreck that involves a lot of cars. So, yeah, we're still to see it. So far, the wrecks haven't taken out too many cars with them. So, yeah, we'll touch wood we don't see it, but, yeah, it's still happen.
Yeah, quite a few cars still running in this race, in all honesty. We've still got, I think we've still got about 37 cars out on the track at the moment. So there are still quite a few cars out there, which is something that usually the big one takes care of. And you see a lot of cars just limping around at the end with a lot of smoke pouring out them, a couple of wheels missing, and most of the car left in the infield. But it's just definitely not happened yet.
Just looked like the 920 of Chris Purnell was in two minds there. He had a gap to come down in front of the 62. He sort of half came down and was half filling it, and then yeah, he was in two minds whether to just commit to getting in front of the 62 of Mirko or jumping back up, and yeah, he ended up staying back up. So he must have got another run, and he's a guy who yeah, he'll take the run if it's there. He's got no one in front of him, so why not? And yeah, he didn't actually jump down, so that gap's closed now. So he is on the outside of Mirko, and just trying to lead this front line back up towards the front.
Yeah, trying to get that outside line working the best they can.
We're here down the back straight, just to try and force a bit of energy, and just as you can see, off goes the 20 on the 920. Sorry. So it doesn't take much. All you got to do is drive to the back bumper, and that car in front will just shoot off in front of you.
Yeah, that's the thing about draft racing, of course, is you do get the push effect, and there are some very, very good pushers out there, you know, people that have a lot of experience with that. But it's one of those things of having the experience with pushing, because it is a very different style of driving, and you have to have confidence with the driver in front of you as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll tell you who's doing a good job at that at the moment is Lachlan. I'm not sure you said the last name, but I call it I'm not even going to Yukio. Lachlan.
There we go.
As the 920 is making a push to the front from off the nose of the 53. It looked like he got a bit loose there actually going to turn 3 and 4, but yeah, you can see in your pictures there a bit of sparks flying on that wall cam there. So someone's obviously got up and rubbed the safer barrier up there. But we'll see if the 920, because they're not teammates, Edward and Chris. I reckon if Chris gets clear, he'll take that lead.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if it was Adam Rozelle or Liam Ford just a little bit further back in 13th and 15th position there. They just had a bit of a loose moment out towards the back there, but managed to keep it going. Of course, if you can't pronounce the surname, just to shorten it to the starting letter like we do with Danny G.
That's true. Instead of making a meal of it. But the 51 had a close moment with the 293 back.
And Purnell has slotted in front of Mirko Dortnak, just behind Hamish Gallagher there. So he's slotted himself in nicely, and that's left Foster a little bit out to dry, and he's going to start losing a little bit of speed as that car's dropped down.
400 is loose back there in turn 2 and 3. He's going to hold on to it. He hangs on to it for now. Let's hopefully he can keep it down straight, but that was a big moment for the 400 car.
Yeah, Liam Ford there just having a huge moment there. He managed to keep it going in a straight line, though. Really good save from Liam Ford.
But as we thought, so Chris tried to make it work for a couple more laps on that outside. Obviously, wasn't making too much progress, and just, as I said, jumped in front of the 62 there. But yeah, these boys in the pack, there's a few more heart and mouth moments starting to appear halfway through this race now. So maybe they're just getting a bit more antsy.
Well, that's it. It's the fatigue does start to set in. Of course, it has been a long week as well. There's been a lot of racing going on, not just in ANZCAR as well. A lot of these guys have been racing a couple of 500s. So we heard from Josh Mickelmore last night. Of course, he had a race last night after the duel as well. So, you know, they've put a lot of miles into this track, and it can absolutely just tire you out. It's an endurance race, isn't it, really?
Yeah, absolutely. And just that previous lap, the 21 of Jason Martin jumped out of the line up in front of the 53. So now they're just trying to work. So if you're Denny G, just let it pack down a little bit on the inside. And yeah, those guys will probably slot into 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the bottom line again. So doing all the right moves here, the Mitch Motorsport cars, working well together.
Yeah, Jason Martin just seeing his opportunity to get away from Dortmund and Chris Purnell, and he's taking that opportunity, getting in front of Foster there, who's giving him a good little bit of a push at the moment, but he's tipping his nose out just to get a little bit of air on the car at the moment. But they are pushing pretty hard, trying to get sort of closer to the front as all the DPR car of Phil Otto, I think, is just getting a little bit loose there mid-corner. He had a little bit of a moment. But we are seeing a few of those cars getting a little bit loose now as the race goes on. They're starting to get a little bit more wobbly than they were at the start of this race.
Yeah, and you can see Hamish Gallagher has actually opened up a gap for Jason Martin to drop down to do there now. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 again on that bottom line with Chris Purnell and Mirko not too far behind those guys. But you've got Lachlan up there with Chris. Sorry, not Chris, Edward in the 53, riding on board with the Goodyear Auto Care Chevrolet, I believe it is, and having a good run on the outside. So Josh will just push up to the back of the 24 and just make sure they can't get across and take that point.
Yeah, Lockie is doing all he can to push Foster at the moment. He is doing a super job at the pushing at the moment. They're trying their best to sort of try and get in front so the Mitchell cars can't really run away with it. But you can just see how hard it is because those cars just have those extra couple of cars behind them, which does make a bit of difference. You see, okay, it's just had to jump out of the draft a little bit, and that's going to drop them back a bit in position. Might have just been getting a little bit too hot there as he was pushing very hard.
Yeah, exactly right. So he was pushing hard on Edward for that lap. So might be just running that little bit of extra tape, and yeah, had to just jump out and get some fresh air before boiling that motor.
Yeah, Reese May just having to drop down below the yellow line there for a couple of moments, just dropping to the back of Ryan Bull, just in the Pepsi-sponsored car there. Just having a little bit of a moment there, but he's managed to keep it going. But a few cars that are looking a little bit second-hand now. We're starting to... Oh, and big moment for...
I'd say he's going to make contact. Just trying to pick him up, and I think he may have saved that car without... Yeah, he did. He somehow saves it and keeps it off the barriers, only just. As you can see the replay here, slow motion replay, he's got it all crossed up, he's locked up, he's trying to undulate the brake pedal, just trying to get that car to steer for him, and he's going to slide right up to this barrier on the inside, and he's going to gather it up and continue on in this race. So massive save for Lachlan there.
Yeah, super save there. That's got to go for save of the day, I think, so far for Lockie. Big moment though, and that's definitely, I think, opened a few eyes up at the front of the field. People have just gone, okay, let's just calm down a little bit. We've still got a long way to go. Still got 89 laps of this race to go. But big moment there, and good job for everybody to avoid that one. That could have been the big one.
Yeah, I just went back and had a look actually to see how that eventuated, and Lachlan's just come down on Mirko, the 62, and he wasn't clear, and Mirko obviously didn't lift, and he's just wiped himself across the front bumper of the 62. So no one's fault really, but yeah, it's a matter of inches here, and yeah, they can really cost you.
Absolutely, yeah. It is one of those sports where, you know, every millimeter counts, and, you know, just making a mistake, just a millimeter out here or there, you know, it can really make a difference, because as soon as that aero lifts off, as soon as that car just gets that little bit of aero wash, sometimes it can really throw you out of it, and it can become very hard to save that from a big incident. But great job there for actually managing to keep it straight and keep it in the race as well.
Yeah, certainly. You could see that the front wheel was locked and unlocked, locked again. So he was on the brake pedal, just trying to get it pulled up, but also obviously when those wheels are locked, they don't turn. So he's off the brake pedal. So a good bit of driving there, and a bit of wheelman stuff to keep it off the wall.
Yeah, but of course, big problem there is when they lock up, and when you do lock them up, things like that, you generally do cause a bit of damage to the tyres. So I think Lachlan's actually come into the pit lane, get a fresh set of tyres on that car. So just having a little bit of a look through there. So from what I can see, so yeah, he's dropped off a fair bit, but yeah, managed to keep it in the race, and that's the important thing.
Yeah, definitely. No harm, no foul. So he might drop a lap, maybe two, but it's still a long way to go on this one. So as long as that car's clean, he can worry about the lap down later.
And what we will do is I can see Bill Hickey in the infield centre, is I'll just grab him up quickly to ask him what happened there earlier on in the race. Bill Hickey, how's it going? Carl Withy here for the JP Simshed broadcast. Oh, you there, Bill?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
That's okay. So what happened to you in that race? We saw there was a big moment for you on the exit of pit lane.
Yeah, big moment on the exit of pit lane there. Sort of just, I don't know, I got pretty unsettled after an earlier crash that saw me turned with a couple of cars exiting pit lane, and after that was battling hard with Skurlock and Shaw and Spencer trying to be the first car on the lead lap so I could get the lucky dog, and then had to pit for fuel, and then on the exit just lost it and bang went the engine.
Big shame for that to have happened to you so early on as well. Obviously, that the crash earlier you were involved in as well obviously didn't help things out. It can be very hard this race, can't it?
Oh, it can. I mean, I'm buzzing just to qualify, Carl. It's been a it's been a bit of a tough week, I guess. I did ARCA, and then qualifying came around, and there's only so much you can get out of qualifying when it's solo, obviously, and then it makes it a very even playing field. And then the Jules was nervous as well.
To just make contact here. Oh, big wreck.
Big wreck there with Foster. Sorry, Bill, we'll just have to let you go now because there's a big wreck going on, but thank you for jumping up with us.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
What happened there? He's just got up into the 09 there, and then that's just chain reaction, just clipped the 920, and he's had a hard hit into that outside wall. So very strange incident there, hard hit for the 920 there. James Robbie's involved. The 51 sneaks through to 2293 of, I checked his name before, I'm not sure who that is, but he might have just snuck through there as well. Big incident.
Yeah, that is the big one we were talking about. And big accident there. And you've got to say, Foster on that one, he just moved up and caught his teammate there on this side. I think Norman Clark, wasn't it? And that has just had a huge chain reaction down the field, and a lot of big names caught out in that incident.
Yeah, I'm just going back to see who I can find it. It was Adam Roswell. He was caught up in it. The 35 of JCW was caught up in it. 53 obviously started that one. James Robbie, the 920 to 62 of Mirko Dortnak. There is someone else involved in there as well. Norman Clark obviously was involved in that too. So a lot of big names in that one. Not sure what happened there. Just might have been lack of concentration there possibly. That's all it takes. Ryan Bull involved in that one as well. So a lot of names in that one. Is it a big one? It's the biggest one so far.
Yeah, I'd definitely say that's a big one.
He got contact in there too. Sorry, just I'm still going through them. Or we got Gary Wellman. He got involved in it as well. So a lot of cars in that one.
I tell you what, the guy that came out of it probably best is actually Norman Clark. He got a bit of damage on there, but the incident he had, he got sort of shoved into Purnell and then just straightened the car up for him. So it depends how much damage is in that car now, but he might be able to get it going. If he can, with relatively little damage, it could be a relatively good moment for him. But they're all darting into the pit lane right now.
Yeah, someone I want to give a big shout out to, and I just watched the replay, Adam Rosell, sorry. He was right behind that incident. He got a hit from behind. He was on the brakes early, got a hit from behind from the 62. But from that point on, he was on the brakes. There was cars spinning and crashing around. He was on the brakes and, got it pulled up. And looks like he may have only just got a bit of damage in the rear. So he'll escape that one fairly well. But a good bit of driving from Adam.
Yeah, it's a skill to avoid crashes sometimes. It's a skill all of its own. And, a lot of it can be luck sometimes. But there is a lot of skill involved to manage to avoid an incident like that because... Good gosh, it is one of those things that is worst case scenario when the front of the pack crashes like that.
And the guy you got to feel sorry for is got to be Chris Purnell in the 920. He was just cruising on his own business on that bottom side there. He would have had no idea what happened. He would have just been driving. The next minute he was hard on that fence on the outside and day over, day done.
It happens in an instant, doesn't it? And it almost feels like it comes out of nowhere, but. It really can catch you by surprise as well because you're just going around and all of a sudden it happens and there is not much you can do about it, unfortunately. But that's definitely going to thin the field a little bit there. A lot of cars, a lot of big names out of the race and out of a chance to win this one now. But who it's going to work out for is those front runners, people like Josh Mickelmore, Danny G, Jason Martin, Hamish Gallagher, Phil Otto, Neil Pearson. The DPR cars have sort of managed to keep themselves clean in that and managed to work their way up to third and fourth as well. So they're looking good as well. They've managed to keep a few bullets in the chamber as well. They've got a couple of cars up there in the top field. So good for them.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just going back over that replay. I'm still just while we're rolling on the pace car, just to try and unravel something here. Now I'm just watching this 53. So he was on the inside line. I reckon that he was aware that Norman Clark was on his outside. He might have just been in the moment, in the zone, and didn't hit a spotter, but he's just driven straight up, and I reckon he was not aware that 09 was above him, and unfortunately, yeah, that's what happens. It creates big crashes.
Yeah, that's it. And
get him in the infield care centre and see if we can get an interview with Edward there, just to see what actually happened there.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye out for him if he joins the infield care centre. Bring him up for a quick chat if we can. But yeah, it just shows, one of the most experienced drivers in the field, of course, winner last season for the championship, and it just takes a slight moment, and then all of a sudden it is over.
Yeah, it happens very quickly here, as you see, and like I said, poor Chris would have just been cruising, had no idea, probably scared the crap out of him, and absolutely turned him into that fence.
Speaking of Chris Purnell, joining us up here in the box quickly as we go back to green. Chris, obviously, unfortunate incident there. You were a bit of a passenger.
Yeah, it is how it is. I mean, you always know at Daytona it could end up like that. I sort of bid my time at the start of the race, sort of sat back a little bit. We knew we had a good car. Unfortunately, both the guys got caught up in incidents early as well, so they're just cruising around at the moment trying to save some sort of points, and I'm done. The engine won't even turn on, so that's me completely out for the day.
Oh, and sorry, big wreck with Jason Martin and Phil Otto there. It seems to be a bit of a reoccurrence here when we pull somebody up from the infield centre. Big moment there as Jason Martin got around there. We'll go back and have a quick look at that one.
The replay here, it looks like Phil's just sort of come down onto the back quarter panel of the 21 there. I'm not sure. You know what? Jason's moved up, I reckon, because he followed the car in front of him a bit, and he's just turned right across the front of the field there. So I'm not sure. There was a bit of a gap there, a bit of net code, but another incident that didn't have to happen.
Yeah, so close, of course, and the racing can be so close. Obviously, Chris, it's been a bit of a rough week for you and your team. We were saying last night about the great job that Skurlock and Trinidad did getting into the actual race with the duel. So obviously, not the outcome you want for the team, but we've seen some great teamwork from you guys this week.
Yeah, there's a lot of positives to take out of it. Obviously, me and Skurlock have worked together a lot in the past, but there's a bit of readjusting and learning again and working together. I've been working with Luke closely with VMM for a while now, so he's fit in really well. And obviously there's a heap of other guys in the team that are sort of backing us and supporting us with whatever they can do at the time. So it's been a good start in terms of the team building and going in the right direction, but it's Daytona. We all know that anything can happen at any point, and unfortunately we've been struck just about every race this week with it, so it is what it is.
Yeah, so sorry to hear, but hopefully the season will get better from here, get stronger from here, because you've got some seriously good talent under the team, and I'm sure we're going to see some wins from you this year.
Yeah, we've got definitely a lot of strong drivers in the team, and we've got a lot of tracks that really suit us this year. There's a couple of parts in the calendar where there's a 4 or 5 track run that really works in our favour. So I think as the year goes on, we'll build stronger and stronger, but we'll just play it as it comes. And thanks for putting on a fantastic broadcast and a great race. And I still haven't got the 500, maybe next year.
That's it. There's always next year for you, Chris.
So just going back through that incident with those guys there. So another casualty you can add to that list is a lot of the guys checked up, did well, got around that crash, and props to those guys. But the 550, Tristan Koch, obviously just didn't see it and didn't check up quick enough, and he's gotten to the back of the 93 Rolly Curtis, and that's pretty much put Curtis on a path to destination nowhere, and absolutely drilled the 21 while he was sitting stationary in the middle of the track. So you can add him to the list there. So it could have been a much bigger crash, but yeah, unfortunate for Rolly.
Yeah, as I say, it's there was a few unfortunate moments there, and a few hearts broken from that incident. Real shame there. Quite a few drivers just really caught up from nowhere as well, and that's the problem. That's the thing that can happen with these sort of incidents is you just get caught unaware, and it's so easy to have happen, and it's so easy to sort of think that you're going to miss an incident, or just not even. Sometimes you just don't notice it. Almost as strange as it sounds, you think that it's going to be fine, and then all of a sudden things just go completely wrong. As I say, it's very hard driving these cars, and when you're driving at the speeds they go at, it can really throw you out.
I don't want to keep going on about these replays, but I'd like to understand how crashes happen. And another guy who can think he's lucky stars is John Sorensen from Vision Motorsport. He had nowhere to go, absolutely nowhere to go, and in the last second, the seas parted for him, and he drove straight through it. Like, amazing.
What we'll do is we'll quickly grab up Jason Martin from the Infield Care Centre and just have a quick moment with him. Jason Martin, how are you going? Obviously not too well. Would rather see you in the race and in here so early on. Up to that point, looked like it was going well for the team and for yourself.
Yeah, a bit earlier than expected, but yeah, I had fun for a while. That was good fun. Made some moves on the outside and was able to get to the front from starting, 30th or 35th or something.
Yeah, great run from you early on, obviously starting quite low down in the field, but managing to work your way up to the front of the pack and work with your teammates there. Just from your point of view on that incident, what happened?
I had a quick look at the replay, and I think Phil's come down expecting me to be lower than I was.
It's a tricky thing to do, as we say, when you're running around here at the speeds you are, unfortunately, it can be very easy to make a little mistake like that, but unfortunately, to see you out the race this early, a very shame, but hopefully the rest of the year will be good for you.
Cheers, mate. That was fun while it lasted.
Thank you so much, Jason. We'll catch you again, hopefully in better circumstances.
No worries.
Jason Martin there for the Mitch Motorsport team. So pace car is going to come in. The lights are out, and we're going to go back to green flag racing here. Josh Mickelmore, his teammate Danny G on the outside. The Mitch Motorsport team still have some bullets in the chamber ready to go. They're still looking strong out there at the front of the field. Pace car goes in, green light comes out, and Josh Mickelmore gets a good start there.
So we've got Neil Pearson for company this time round. He's going to try and back that up. I'd say the 31 will go up to the 24 possibly. If not, those guys will just round the 31 up, I'd say. But yeah, a lot of big names taken out in that one. The field's a lot scattered now, so we'll see if anyone else wants to play along the game.
That's it. It can be very tricky. As you see, Mickelmore there just jumping to the outside line. We've not seen this from the Mitch team much tonight, working on that outside line. They've been very happy down there on the inside, but this has allowed Neil Pearson to get a good run. Also, working his way up the field extremely well, Jason Hartigan started last up into second place at the moment.
Yeah, great job from Jason there. He's kept his nose clean, and he's in a good position at the moment. And we got Ryan Bull, who's also done a good job and kept his nose clean, and he's up there fighting this one up there, boys.
Yeah, Ryan Bull had a eventful track race, but was very fast all night long. Has got some really good pace on the super speedways, and is one of those drivers you really have to keep an eye on, Ryan. He can really get it going when he needs to, but it looks like, you see Josh Mickelmore there coming down in front of Neil Pearson, blocking off that inside line now. I think the Mitch Motorsport team realised that they were starting to lose control of the line there, and they didn't want to lose too much of the pace there, so you'll probably see them just trying to back it up a little bit, get their cars back to the front and get back into a line.
Yeah, absolutely. Now the issue with backing up Pearson, he can be aggressive, so if you try to back Pearson up and he'll just drive straight through that rear bumper, you can end up getting yourself turned here, or make another big one. So what Neil Pearson needs to do here to stop those guys from teaming up is push that 31, and if Josh comes out, it just makes it a bit harder. Just they rub that friction a bit more, and he can end up getting turned here. So But yeah, you do want to push him so they can't team up and go around the outside.
Yeah, that's it. You've got three very hungry drivers down on that bottom line at the moment with Pearson, Hartigan, and Ryan Bull as well, and they do race very hard as well. So they're not going to make it easy for the Mitch Motorsport team. They're going to try and keep Josh Micklemore at the front of the top pack as much as they can, so that the Mitch Motorsport team can't make it too easy for themselves.
Yeah, certainly. And I just want to give a shout out to Dan Stevens up there and in that Licky Molly car. He's done a good job. So Denny G drops down. So that's another piece of the puzzle there. The last one to fall into place will be the 13 of Gallagher on the outside there, which has just got a bump from the 3 of Dan Stevens.
Yeah, Dan Stevens doing a good job as well, getting up there and having a good race so far, and just sort of keeping up there thereabouts. And you sort of see again the activity you have barley cars as well. There's a sort of a couple of them lurking back at the top of the pack, and we've seen those cars can be very quick as well tonight. Today. I'm so used to saying nighttime. They've been so quick in pace. So those are guys just to keep a bit of an eye out for, because they've definitely had some good pace on them. So we could see them starting to make some inroads as this race goes on. We're on 127, so 73 laps to go of the Daytona 500. Danny G is in the lead at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned the barley car, so that would definitely the quickest in qualifying trim. I'd imagine some of that will carry over into their race car. But yeah, you can't count those guys out because there's a few of them up there now just sort of working their way back to the front.
It can make a difference sometimes, and obviously when you've got a fast car in qualifying, it usually means you've got a relatively good fast car for the race. Coming up to a lapped car now, I think it's Gary Wellman there, just up in the top there, just keeping out the way of everybody. And of course, it can be pretty hard just keeping out the way of people, because you go up on that top line and all of a sudden you just sort of run onto a couple of marbles, and it can be very easy to lose the vehicle quite quickly. Yeah,
definitely there. And so Hamish has just dropped back here from, he's not getting the help that he would have wanted from Dan Stevens. And maybe Dan Stevens is playing that game as thinks that they want me to push him to the lead or up to those teammates, and he's just not going to do it. So just trying to break up that Mitch trio now after departing 21 now is behind the wall. But Dan, I think it's a good idea. Dan's just not getting up behind the 13 and just not giving them what they want at the moment.
Yeah, he's just sort of keeping it away, which is a good idea, really. You don't want to go helping these teams sometimes. You can help yourself a little bit with these situations, but you're not going to get any help from that team. If you manage to push Hamish Gallagher up to the front, he's going to jump straight down in front of them and not really stay there to help pull you along.
He did just get a big shove from the 3 of Dan Stevens there, so he's back up level with the 21. Another guy I'd give a shout out to is 03 Bradley Allison. I haven't seen much of him today, but he's worked his way into a good position here, getting down towards the business end of the race. So good to see him up there. He's a good driver, and you can't count him out of this one either.
Yeah, just under normal race distance to go now. We'd normally run about an 80-lap race of Daytona, of course, so 70 laps to go. You can see Jason Martin is actually back out on the track, so Jason Martin is going back out there to get a few more laps and get a finishing position where he can sort of get a few points under the belt for the start of the season. Of course, it is that big thing as well. Every point helps. So he's gone back out there, currently sitting in... whereabouts is he on my timing screen? 33rd at the moment. So he's sort of sitting in a relatively decent position. 31st, sorry. And there are a few cars around him that are sort of close-ish to him as well. So if more incidents happen, he could start picking up a few more positions.
Yeah, that's right. And depending on how much damage he got repaired, he might not be on the lead lap by the end of this race, but he can definitely be out there to help his other teammates that are on the lead lap. Just depends on how much repaired that car, though. But it's all points, so he'll just be running around to get points now. He'll make some more points here. We haven't seen the end of the crashing yet, I don't believe. So, he'll still make some gains before the end of this race.
If there's more than 2 cars on track at Daytona, there's always a chance for a crash. So there is always a chance with this style of racing. But at the moment, you can see that Hamish Gallagher's sort of out there on the outside. He's not really managing to make inroads. But you see now Josh Micklemore jumping up to the outside for a brief moment. he thought about positioning that car up on the outside for a moment, but thought better of it and's come back down behind his teammate now.
Yeah, not sure if he meant that or not, but if he did, he just went out there to punch a hole for the 13. But yeah, I'm not sure if he actually meant that or not. But yeah, he's giving the 24 a big shove here though down the bottom.
Yeah, it feels like they're wanting to try and get their cars into a sort of position where they can really work together, but the other people around them are not making it too easy at the moment. They're not making their lives easy, you can say, which is fair enough. You can see that Josh Mickelmore is just jumping out of the draft a little bit, and that's just going to give a little bit of a punch in the air and just help his teammate behind him just get a little bit of a run on them. And ideally, they're going to want to try and get him past Neil Pearson and slot him into third place.
Yeah, so the race is just always, you see Lockie just take a dive to the inside line there, and Hardikin's had enough of riding behind the 9. He's jumped up to the outside line, and he says he wants to have a crack at the lead here. So we'll see if the 13 can get up behind him and give him a shove towards the point.
Yeah, that's it. There is a sort of second pack that's formed as well from about 19th down in positions, but there's a lot of lapped cars and damaged cars in that pack. It's a bit of a zombie horde, I'd say. Quite a few drivers running in that sort of group just to get the cars across the line, really, and get some finishing positions. But there are a few cars on the lead lap still in that group, so they're going to want to try and keep those guys on the lead lap if they can. So if a caution does come out, it'll work out quite well for them. At the moment, the lucky dog would be Raymond Yeager, so he's sitting in a relatively good position at the moment if a caution did decide to come out. But of course, it's a big if.
Yeah, exactly right. And as you can see in that pack back there, the 2020 champ, wasn't satisfied with just parking it for the day. So he's got a lot of damage, but he's just going to go out and log laps and see if he can pick up a couple of more positions because, like I said, it could be crucial at the end of the year.
Well, it's got a new specialised cooling system for the car. We'll go with that.
Right, so he'll be getting all the air, and unfortunately, that's not very good at Daytona.
Not the best aerodynamics, but the engine will like it. That's one thing, one benefit of it, I guess. But up the front, you can see a lot of cars are starting to move around a bit. And the other thing as well is at this stage of the race, the cars have been running for quite a long time. Of course, you do start getting a little bit more damage here and there. You'll have people putting a little bit more tape on as well in the pit stops towards the end of this race because they want to try and get some good positions leading and all of that kind of stuff. So you start to see cars just sometimes running a little bit hotter towards the end of this race, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, we don't know what adjustments they're making in the pit stops, so whether they're putting more tape or less. So yeah, it can vary throughout the run or through the race. So you're just not sure what they're actually doing. But it's very easy to put too much tape. You think, oh yeah, 35% is not that much tape. When you're up behind the car, that is plenty of tape, and it will get hot.
Yeah, just want to mention, actually, just battling with Aidan Schultz and Bradley Allison, Lachlan Urquio has made his way back up the field. He's currently sitting in 11th place, and we saw him having that big moment and spin earlier in the race and remained green. And we thought that was his race almost over, but you can see how persistence does pay off in this style of racing. He's managed to work his way back up to 11th, and he is there on merit as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm just noticing the 67, I think that's Reece May. He just keeps dropping below the outer line. Like you're probably not deliberately doing that, but he just needs to be careful because if he catches it at the wrong time, if he's in the banking, he will end up in a bit of strife there. But for now, if he's doing it on the straight, it's not ideal for the cars behind, but for now, he's all right.
Yeah, you've got to be careful of that yellow line sometimes because it can catch you out quite quickly. And, you know, sometimes you've got to run as low a line as possible. Of course, you want to make the track as short as possible, but you've got to be so very careful of it. You see Ryan Ball's just getting a little bit sideways there as well, just touching the apex of the corner. But you've got to be so careful with with the banking, of course, because it's so easy to get the car getting loose on you when you get to the banking, because of course it lifts the car up a little bit, you get more air under the car, and then all of a sudden you go spinning from nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. We've mentioned it a few times in the broadcast today about that, and the reason we do it is because it's so easy to actually grab a bit of that apron, and it's almost like a magnet. It'll suck you in once you touch it, just like the wall. You touch that wall, it'll suck you in as well, and sometimes it's hard to get off, and that'll just scatter the pack basically from there.
Yeah, it's very hard to escape that wall and that apron sometimes, and it's always a bit of a heart stopper when it happens, especially in a race on a super speedway because you are so close together, of course. So Jason Hartigan up on the high line at the moment now. Oh, as just behind us, we can see that Bradley Cheney just getting a big moment through the tri-oval section. He's just done exactly what we said. He just touched the apron, had a big moment, got across the pit exit, and managed to save the car and get back onto the track. But just as we were saying, with that little bit of apron, so easy to do, and it's happened for him. And there's actually a car around in the background, I think.
Good shout out for the 74 there for just making us look like we're smart.
Makes us look like we know what we're talking about sometimes.
You hate to see it. Oh, Ryan Ball had a moment as well. He's just done the same thing. You can see him in your pictures there. He just dropped down below the apron. So, apron, not apron. But he did exactly the same thing. He just got on that apron and just gets loose. We're about to see it in their replay here. So, you watch him come through the travel. The travel is bad for it. But, yeah, you just touch that inside apron and it'll just upset the car. Are you ready? And there it goes. That's all it is. That's all it'll do. And, actually, he took the cone out for pit lane. He may end up with a penalty for that. He went through the pit lane. He might get done for a pit entry penalty. I'm not sure. It's iRacing regulated, so we'll have to wait and see if he actually pulls into to take that penalty or not.
Yeah, that's the trouble sometimes. Is the iRacing stewards, the AI stewards are sometimes a little bit tricky on the way things go. But yeah, exactly the same incident as Bradley Cheney had on the previous lap. It was almost a carbon copy there.
Yeah, and it basically would just take you and spit you out the back of the pack. So the 003 of Ryan Ball is just rolling on his own at the moment right at the back. There's a right on ball with Lockie Yu, who is looking to make some moves up here. Gets up right behind Bradley Ellison and the 51 of Hartigan.
Yeah, so keeping some good positions there up the front. So I was just checking something in the background there. But yeah, they're keeping a relatively good pace at the front still, and they're still sort of so close for the racing. It's still anybody's race, isn't it? As we hit lap 142, so 58 laps remain, and we are getting to the pointy end of this race now.
Yeah, still a lot to happen in between now and then, but I'm just keeping an eye on Ryan. He's still circulating. I just want to see if he did get a penalty or not. So if he did, he'll probably have to come down this time, but I'll keep you updated on that.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that information. Hopefully no penalty will have to be served, because it's always unfortunate when that happens. But yeah, Ryan Ball coming into the pit lane, it looks like. I'm seeing it on my screen.
So yeah, as I thought, he'll get a unsafe pit entry just for the fact of running through the pit lane there on his error. So that's a costly one.
Yeah, it's almost like a double penalty, isn't it, really? You have the mistake and then you get the drive-through for it, which is all so painful on green lap running, of course, because that's going to lose you lose you a lap as well. So really, really painful penalty there.
Yeah, no good for Ryan, but he'll take that. He's still not out of it. There's a long way to go on this one yet, but he might be able to get some laps back and get back into it.
Oh, that's it, of course. If he can get back out there and get to the first first car on the lead lap, it could give him a chance to get back there, of course. Ryan Ball was one of the guys that stopped a lot later than the rest as well, so he's got a little bit more fuel on board than some of the others. So he's got around about 8 laps of fuel more than the rest of the field. So, you know, he could run a bit later than everybody else, and it could come to pay dividends for him a little bit later on this race, because they will have to make at least 2 more stops from my maths, which is never to be trusted. But I think we'll have to go 2 more stops, at least a splash and dash at the end.
You're the stats man, Carl. When was the last time we did stop these leaders? On a caution, possibly?
It would have been on a caution, so 28 laps ago. So
probably in the next 10 laps, if that rings true, that we will start to see some more green flag stops here.
Yeah, that's it. It's going to be, everybody's going to be working out the fuel loads to the very end of the race, trying to backdate it, trying to work out if they can make it. Of course, the guys at the front can be in a position where it can really hurt them. So they're just looking at guys' fuel loads from their pit stops, and when they make their stop at the moment, the person that's probably in the best position is actually Urquio, because he's got about 4 more laps of fuel than everybody else on board. So if it comes down to a very late splash and dash, this could come to pay off for him, and could help him out a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think it's going to be one full tank at least, and then it's going to be not a full tank to get home after that. So I believe, it'll be right. So probably about half a tank. So what that means for Lockie is the fact that he's got more fuel. It means there'll be less time standing stationary in the pit lane if it runs green.
Yeah, that's the other thing, of course, is less time in the pit lane gives you a little bit of an advantage sometimes. It's not much, but every millisecond counts on a track like this. It is tenths of a second that can be the difference between winning a race and losing a race.
There goes Hamish down behind his teammates. So the Mitch Motorsport cars are 1, 2, and 3 going on that bottom line. So a couple of guys around him probably don't want to see that. They've been commanding, and unfortunately that's the way it's been. So they're just going to have to race them.
Yeah, that's it.
To win.
The Mitch team have been sort of leading by example, you can say, with this one. They've been putting on a strong performance at the front, and just see that at the background as well. Jason Hartigan just slipping in behind Neil Pearson, I think it was. So Jason Hartigan just dropping off that top line. Looks like that top line starting to fade a little bit now. Those drivers are starting to think about getting on that bottom line, just getting a comfortable position, not pushing too hard, not running too much at the moment, and just cruising around a little bit, just taking a little bit of time to relax as we get towards the end of this race. 53 laps remaining.
Yeah, starting to stall out a bit. But also might have to just shuffle themselves in here because I reckon we are not too far away from seeing some green flag stops here.
Yeah, that's it. These guys are going to start to be looking at getting some fuel. Sort of the longest stints we've seen so far, about 40 laps. So still got a couple of laps to go for a few people. I think we'll probably see Aidan Schultz coming in very, very shortly. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong thing. Daniel Stevens probably going to be the first to blink, I'd say. But of course, the guy that's been leading the race, Danny G, he's been out front for quite a while, and that's going to be using up the fuel loads for him.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm just looking at the teams, see if anyone else got any team cars up here. So at the moment we've got the Mitch cars, the Barley cars, and the DPR cars seem to be the only ones up here with teammates in it at the moment. The other guys are sort of just riding along and running their own race. But they'll Reese May drops below the yellow line there again. I was just watching Daniel Stevens actually. It looked like he tried to get in front of Reese May, and that gap closed up and it was very tight. And I'm not sure what happened, but there was some words over the radio. I'm not sure if they were good or not, but they did get tight.
Yeah, they were just saying it was a little bit less than an ANZCAR's lengthened gap there. So, that's the thing is, you've got to be so careful sliding into gaps because, of course, you have your spotter in your ear just telling you what's going on. A lot of the times it is the iRacing or the crew chief AI spotter, of course, which lets you know what's going on pretty well and is pretty accurate. But sometimes, a little bit of problem here or there, and it can easily cause a problem if something goes wrong like that. As we hit lap 150, so we are 3/4 of the race through, quarter of the race left, so 50 laps remaining for the 500 now. So we're getting towards the sticky end of this race now. Danny G leading with Josh Micklemore second, Hamish Gallagher third, fourth Neil Pearson, fifth Jason Hardigan, Lachlan Urquio sixth, seventh Reese May, Bradley Allison in eighth, Aidan Schultz ninth, and Daniel Stevens in 10th at the moment.
Yeah, it's still, as I said, it's a long way to go, but your heart rate will start. You've got to start thinking about what you're going to do here to get yourself in a position to win, especially with these stops coming up.
And we're coming up to a big group of lapped cars at the moment. 4 lapped cars coming up to the group right now, and this is where it can get a little bit dicey as you start getting into overtaking other packs. Of course,
not too wide, so they should just ease on through these guys. And there's a lot of experience in that pack of lapped cars, so I don't think we'll have any issues this time by. But yeah, you just got to start thinking about how you're going to win this race now.
Yeah, that's it, and to stick into their position as they do go 3 wide across just off the tri-oval for a couple of moments. But they managed to all sneak their way past quite easily there, and that was Michael Skurlock now is the first car a lap down, so that's him and Phil Otto having a bit of a race with each other to try and keep on the first of the cars a lap down now. So those guys are going to want to try and sort of keep their position and try and lock onto the end of this, onto the end of the tail of these cars if they can.
Yeah, definitely. They'll get into the draft there and just keep running their own race and they're all they're concentrated on now is trying to get back on that lead lap or trying to work out how they can get back in this race.
Yeah, that's the big thing, isn't it? It's all the working out, trying to actually, doing all the maths in your head as you're driving around at 300 plus kilometers per hour is not an easy thing to do, and it's there's so much you've got to think about when you're driving these cars. Obviously, you sort of do have teammates sometimes, and you do have the odd person that will help you out, things like that. But a lot of drivers are almost on their own. It's not like Full Metal Racing where you have a team of people behind you able to make all of those figures work out for you and do all the calculations. You are doing those calculations in your head on the fly.
Yeah, absolutely. Some guys use some software to help them out in that regard, but a lot of the times it's just on the fly and guesstimating.
Absolutely, and sometimes you can get it wrong by a lap, but when you get it right, you look like an absolute hero.
So let's see how many cars after a few big incidents. We'll see how many cars are still on the lead lap. So we've dropped down with down to 20 cars on the lead lap. So that's still a lot of cars that can still win this race if they keep it there. Riley Curtis is still on the lead lap with that damage, so they might be just radering on and got it repaired enough to stay keeping this race for now.
Yeah, Riley Curtis getting some okay-ish speed. He's currently battling with Tristan Koch, Mirko Dortnack, Norman Clark as well. He's in that sort of pack that's with Joshua Carroll Walden and John Sorensen. So those guys have sort of got a little bit of a pack formed up at the moment and are working quite well with each other. A few cars that have got some damage in them.
Outside of more at the moment. I think that's Ryan Bull just trying to make something happen. I'm happy to just ride back. But at the moment, there's no point being out there. You just need to ride in a single file and be as straight as you can and get those cars back up to the front.
Yeah, that's it. It's no point taking too many big risks. But Ryan is 2 laps down now, unfortunately, because of that penalty. So it's going to be very tricky for him to sort of get back on the lead lap. It's not impossible, but it will be tricky for him. But yeah, quite a few cars with damage in that area as well. And they're just all sitting in position, trying to get, trying their best to actually get a little bit of drive, trying to get some help.
Riding on board with Riley there for a second, he jumps out, wasn't doing the same thing Ryan did. But back to the lead pack here, and still Denny G coming up on some lap traffic here again, but shouldn't be any issue at all being single file. But yeah, I don't think we're going to be too far away from green flag stops here.
I reckon we'll see Danny G coming in maybe this or next lap, I would think, from my terrible maths. But we'll be seeing him come in the next lap or two for sure. We've just seen Michael Skurlock actually pitting as well. So he's had to make a green flag stop. So that's going to jump him out. And yes, we do. We see those Mitch Motorsport cars coming in and a few other cars deciding to join them as well.
Did Denny G get that pulled up in time? He had a lot of smoke coming off them wheels. I'm just going to go back and have a look and just check on that.
Oh, it's very close, isn't it? That was a real late moment there. I think
if he doesn't get a penalty, they'll be very surprised. He hit the line at 119 k an hour and went a fairway in, so he may get a hold penalty there.
Yeah, we could see that.
He's away, so he must have just got away with that somehow, but he definitely entered too fast, but he got away with it.
Yeah, I managed to really stop that just in the nick of time. A lot of cars coming in now, a lot of the leaders pitting in. There was a bit of a call out before about cars not calling when they pit in because the leaders decided to not mention that they were pitting in that time. So quite a lot of cars coming in this time round.
It's always hard to find where to look at this stage of the race. We've got Neil Pearson, he's on the box, hit his marks. No, he has to stop in reverse. He's just backed up a bit in the box there, so getting tyres as well. That's not ideal, but hopefully he didn't lose too much time, and Bradley Addison is down and away, so he's about to roll back out onto the track. As these
Yeah.
guys here are just storming around the outside of Lachlan Yu here. Remembering he's got more fuel, I believe you were saying, Carl, so he should be able to go a bit further than those guys.
Yeah, Lockie should be able to go a little bit longer than everybody else at the moment. So we'll see how he goes for that, because he's got a little bit more fuel on board than everybody else. And this could be a crucial thing for Lockie, because if he can make it another couple of laps, he's going to be able to stay out until the end. If we remain green, he'll be able to last until the very end. The rest of these guys are going to be fuel saving an awful lot. So that's the thing, is none of these guys can really make it on fuel. Well, none of those guys that stopped that last couple of laps through, so like people like Josh Mickle or Danny G, all of that group, they are going to be so tight on fuel, they're going to be running on fumes almost. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. But Lockie is going to have fuel to spare for the end of this race, but he is currently running out on his own a little bit, so he's not got much of a pack. He's trying to cling on to the Mitch Motorsport boys.
Yeah, to see if he can just tag onto those boys there. The guys behind him will catch him as well. So if he can just get in there, but he might have to come in the pit lane in a couple of laps though. So, but at the moment he's running more laps. So as I said, you can just get him over that line just enough to get home, and basically from that point on, if he can save that fuel and get to the end, it's his race to lose then.
Yeah, if it remains green, he is in a very good position. But of course, the big if is if it can remain green, and that's the big question, because caution right now will give it to the guys. It will allow them to get to the end of the race. It will be a bit touch and go for a few of those drivers, I think, but they will be able to get to the end of the race on fuel. But I think we're gonna see a couple of splash and dashes towards the end of this race, or people just easing off a little bit, just making fuel numbers, not running to the absolute pace.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because I just don't know how it's going to work out, because Lachlan's going to have to stop. It just depends on where he's going to come out. If he can come out in a pack, then that's good. If not, running on his own is going to use up more fuel, and I think it's going to be a lot tighter than he thinks, or we think, for that matter, because he's just working lap 160 now, so he still stays out. So he's running P4, so it just depends where he comes in and comes out on the track. If he can get to lap 165, that would be, I would say I'm comfortable with that to get to the end.
Yeah, he's
about to get some help now. So we've got the Natari 51 car just pulled up behind him. So he's going to get pushed, but unfortunately he is still leading that little pack there, but that might just be able to get onto the back of the Mitch cars here.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm just actually having a quick look-see, because I'm just wondering if...
I was going to say, he surely has to... He would have had to stop, because he can't be sitting fourth. If he stayed out...
Yeah, he came in with the leaders, so he's actually stopped a little bit early.
And I was thinking, hang on a minute. I just looked at his positioning. I thought he was a lap ahead of these guys. But, so all that strategy, don't even worry about it.
That's it. So he's on the same strategy as those guys. So he's got he's on the same strategy as the leaders now. So those guys are all on the same strategy, and I think they're going to be struggling for fuel towards the end of this race. I think they're going to have to just do some fuel saving, or just hope for a caution or something like that, because they're going to struggle towards the end of this race, really.
You know what? I love that. It's going to be tight on fuel. If we go green to the end, it's anybody's race.
That's it. And you can see the front pack has absolutely just deserted itself almost. But behind it is a swarm of the Activity Hub Barley cars. It's got 3 of those cars running at the moment, with Reese May and Neil Pearson as well.
Yeah, look at the head of these leaders here. They've got lap cars too wide at the moment. They're about to approach. So there's one just dawdling in the middle of the road here. So they're still too wide here up front of them. This could throw a cat amongst the pigeons here, because they are blocking this track, the cars up ahead.
They are, and it's really, really close. There are cars still in the line of the leaders.
Through the middle here.
And
gee!
Big moment there as they go past the 09. Big wobble as well.
Mate, that's a bit of poor form from those lap cars. They should have seen the leaders coming and got up out of the road. They don't get blue flags, but they should know that's coming. And for one car, just hang on the bottom there. I think it could have been done better. But anyway.
Yeah, that was a was definitely a moment where you clench the teeth a little bit.
What he has done though is left Hamish Gallagher out from on his own, so he's been split up from his teammates, and Hardigan's gone in and taken that spot, and Lockie, you just jumped in there and followed him in there too. So you expect to see the 13 just roll to the. Oh, tell you what.
Oh, Danny G's made a mistake.
Here. What is going on?
Danny G just making a mistake. I think they're just losing a little bit of the car through the tri-oval. And that's just lost him the position, and that's fallen him out of position of the Mitch Motorsport train, and he's going to start falling back. You can see right now Josh Mickle jumping up to Hamish Gallagher. They need to start working together because they could lose their position right now.
All right, it's all starting to happen now. All of a sudden, just randomly everybody wanted to have their moments, I guess. Especially in this front pack. It's all just happened in the last 2 laps.
Big bit of excitement there. I think that was it. It was a bit too exciting for everybody, and everybody just needed to take a quick breath of air. But yeah, they've managed to work themselves out quite quickly. The Mitch Motorsport boys back into a pack of 3, but I think they're going to try and drop down behind Hartigan here and Urquio. So they're going to have to drop back from the lead of this race. So they've that small mistake, and it's so easy to happen. It just takes a moment of a lapse of concentration, and that's how quick it can happen.
Yeah, well, that's it. And didn't you say it earlier that the 51 started from last, I believe, and then he is now currently at the point of this race on lap 166.
Well, that's it. Yeah, Jason Hardigan starting last after the incident last night in the duel, causing him to go out quite early. So he started right at the back of the pack. And he's now worked his way up to first place. So that is a lot of work being put in from him. 42 positions gained. But if you're going to lead the race, leading it towards the end of the race is where you want to be. Yeah,
definitely. That's the right part of the race to be leading. You want to be leading on that white flag lap, I can tell you that now. And take that checker. But good job from him. He stayed clean through all the madness that's been going on out there lately. And leading this race at the moment, doing a good job.
Yeah, that's it, and that's a good point. Is staying clean.
The boys just jumped out of the line there, so sorry to cut over their car. They just jumped out of the line, so they're making a move here. Obviously communicating on their radios, and let's just see what they do here. They're going to just try and steamroll these guys at the front, or the other option is for the 31 to drop down in front of the 51 and just slow them down, like we've seen previously.
Yeah, we've seen them use that tactic a few times, and they're getting a good run right now. You can see just 3 cars are much better than 2 in a situation like this, so they are pushing as hard as they can. You can see
the bumper of the 51 here, which looks like he's going to try and do now. He just needs to get up on the bumper and force them to go right around them. So push from the Lockie here they're not clear yet, so the front two are clear, but they're going to hang up there with Denny G.
That's it, and of course you're going to get a little bit more speed with 3 cars than you are with 2, of course, in a situation like this. You just need that sort of extra bit of car there, just almost that little bit of extra horsepower. As just behind, there was just a moment for one of the drivers a little bit further back, but they managed to keep it going in the straight line. But we're looking at the leaders at the moment. This is really neck and neck stuff at the moment. They are trying so hard.
Tell you what, there's a slight avalanche from the 13 there on the 31, so they are pushing hard. So that comes with risks. So to get to the point of this race, it does come with a risk of possibly wrecking your teammate. You want to try and keep that car straight as possible, and it's harder to do up on the top because you don't have a yellow line to follow. So they just got to be careful here that they don't step on their own toe.
Yeah, they are approaching some lapped cars as well quite quickly. So in the next lap or 2, we will see lapped cars coming into play, and that could affect that outside line again. So you're probably going to see Josh Mickelmore wanting to try and slip down and get to that lower line as quick as possible, just so he doesn't have to worry so much about that group of lapped cars. I think that's 3 or 4 of them just battling away in front of them at the moment. So again, it's trying to get those sort of positions fixed up, as we've only got 30 laps remaining here at Daytona.
Yeah, and remember that the cars leading these trains, so the 51 and the 31 will be using more fuel than those behind them. So it would be interesting when it comes to fuel. So you got to work out whether they're going to have to all come in at once and stop, or the other guys try to run the gauntlet and stay out. As Denny gets a little bit loose or a little bit squirrely in the middle of the trial, Nelly comes down to 51 there.
Yeah, but this is the big if they're going to make it on fuel. And from what I've seen all race long, I don't think anyone can make it on fuel in the top at the moment. So that's going to be an interesting little battle as well. Is who can save enough fuel, who can make it to the end. I mean, heck, even if your car just rolls across that, as we see Josh Mickelmore coming down in front of Jason Hardigan now. So he's dropped down in front of him, and he's going to try and get it so his teammates can slip in behind him, hopefully, because they are coming up to a big pack of lap cars.
Close. They're going to go 3 wide here. Teammates, the 51 is having none of it. Jason Hardigan is having none of it, and that's allowed the DPR, 2 DPR cars to come back into this. So you got Pearson and Stephen Williams just about to ride up on the back of these guys.
Yeah, those DPR cars have just really worked their way up there well. And they are coming up to these lapped cars, as I said, and I think everybody wants to get on that lower line right now just because they are coming up to a huge group, a huge pack of cars at the moment. And it's sort of, you don't really want to be running 2 wide, 3 wide in these situations because that's where an accident at the front can happen when you're passing those lapped cars. And the big loser from this situation is Danny G at the moment. He's had to drop right to the back of that front pack, and it's really split up the Mitch Motorsport cars.
Yeah, certainly. And Reese May, who's still on the lead lap here, is in P8. He's not too far off this pack, so he might join them soon. He'll have a bit of help from Bradley Sheeny, who is a couple of laps down. But, yeah, a bit odd. The Mitch boys just put themselves in an awkward position there. So just need to gather their thoughts here and just make sure they're doing the right thing. But we're coming up on that pack. I don't know if it's the same pack from last time, but it looks messy up there again. So it could get exciting here.
Yeah, it's going to be some sharp intakes of breath, I think, as they are running 2 wide at the moment. Those lapped cars. There's somebody on the bottom line at the moment. The number 1, Phil Otto, and he's going to drop below the line. So
Phil's a smart man. I didn't expect him to stay there, but yeah, that would have made it very awkward if he had stayed there, though.
Yeah, that's it. There's a lot of experienced drivers out there at the moment. They're just going to stick up high. You're just passing Foster there as well. You can see the damage on his car at the moment, as well as Joshua Cowell and John Sorensen at the front of that little pack. So 15th getting lapped now, so only 14 cars on the lead lap. So first car on the lead lap is Matthew Raymond at the moment in 14th position. So he's sitting in an okay place at the moment.
Something I just want to touch on here now, that 35 on the outside line is the teammate of the leader at the moment. He doesn't look too much damage, so these guys are going to get in this draft here. Look to him to help him. Being a lap down, you don't have to get out of anyone's way. He can get to that 51 and he can help him at towards the end of this race. So these guys are going to match him for pace on that outside line because they'll have that draft now. So, yeah, don't count out the 35 coming up and giving the 51 a hand.
Yeah, that's it. If he can manage to do it, then I think we'll see that. But it's the if, because remember he did get caught up a little bit in that wreck. There's a bit of damage on the front right fender of the car, so could just be struggling a little bit for the pace.
Hey, there we go.
They go round.
Tell you what, I was just looking. There was a lot of hard pushing going on in there, and I think they've just pushed too hard there. Yeah, the 35 has just pushed John Sorensen by the looks of it, just too hard.
Just caught John Sorensen, and that has wiped out.
Big hard hit into the safer barrier for the 24 and the Jenny G. But, yeah, unfortunately, the 35's just got into the rear corner of the John Sorensen mobile. And, yeah, that's a big one. That's lap cars wrecking with the leaders there. Yeah,
that was huge. Reese May getting Danny G over his head there. So that was a big moment there. And that is what these leaders were sort of hoping for. As much as you don't want to hope for a wreck, but this will help them get to the end on fuel, of course. But that has taken out a lot more cars, and that has caused damage to a lot of cars behind as well.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of Barley cars I see rolling through there. I'm just going back through the replays and just having a look. But a lot of damaged cars here, and it was just the 35 just rubbed him the wrong way, and much like Purnell for the 24, straight into that outside wall and went for a wild ride over the top of Reese May.
Yeah, again, unfortunate passenger in that situation, and that's the problem. Is you could just be an unfortunate passenger, and that's it. It's the end of your race. Norman Clark getting the wave around as well, and then all of those guys coming into pit lane. So, yeah, as we suspected, people were a little bit worried about fuel. So now they're going to be able to get to the end on fuel.
Just watching replays, the 03 of Bradley Ellison nearly made it through there. He checked up, got sideways, got it down to the apron. He was almost through it, and out of nowhere, a car comes spitting straight out in front of him. Nowhere to go, unfortunately.
Yeah, that was
Trying
big.
to temper the time, so he was in this race too. A lot of those activity hub cars were in this race still. So yeah, here we go. It's crunch time now.
It is a real shame for a lot of those drivers as well. That it's you got to say it's an absolute shame when it happens. Just looking at the moment, I think big winner out there is Neil Pearson. He's managed to jump Jason Hartigan, so yes. Neil Pearson's managed to get to the front of the pack. I was going to actually mention Jason Hartigan because he, of course, has the very first pit box as you come into the pit lane, so that can sometimes be a little bit of an advantage for you because you don't have to squint as much and try and pick out your pit box. And of course, it's a bit of a cleaner run in and out sometimes, so it worked out quite well for him. Josh Mickelmore getting out in third place with Hamish Gallagher in fourth. So a few cars there, and just joining us up in the booth is Edward Foster for the JP Simshed team. How are you going, Edward Foster?
Oh, look, hasn't been a good day, has it? It looks like a few guys out there managed to survive it, but yeah, a bit of a rough ending for me. I mean, the first incident was completely my fault. I was communicating with Hartigan there, and I was talking about moving up into the high lane, and I said, "Oh, can I come up?" And he said, "Yep," and I misunderstood what that meant. He sort of meant it as he was going to leave me room, and I thought it meant I was clear, and I had no idea that Norman was there at all. So I pulled out straight into him, wrecked myself, wrecked Norman, wrecked Joshy, wrecked a whole bunch of cars, which I don't normally do, but doesn't feel nice, really doesn't. And then the last incident, I just drove into somebody else's accident. I didn't want to turn down into the leaders because we were trying to keep high and stay out the way, and there was a wreck up high, and I didn't want to turn down and wreck somebody else. I've wrecked enough people today, so I stayed up high and unfortunately couldn't get through, and that was it.
Yeah, unfortunate sort of the first wreck, obviously, unfortunate situation, and we were saying how hard it is when you're racing that close, that fast, and those mistakes can be easy to make, and you're always kicking yourself when they happen, but it's even worse when you're a bit of a passenger in a wreck like that, when it's somebody else's wreck, and there's not much you can do to really avoid it, is there?
Oh, look, I'd already ruined my race perfectly well on my own. I didn't need anybody else's help, so I'm better than that. I'm better than making stupid mistakes like that, and I just obviously got to apologise to the other guys. It was just a miscommunication, and that's what killed me. The second wreck was immaterial.
Yeah, I went through and had a look at that incident after that, after your first incident, Edward, and that's what I said to the guys in here. I said, just looks like he wasn't aware that Norman was there, and it's just moved up, and unfortunately, that's what happens.
Yeah, exactly. We had the two DPR cars there on the outside. I wanted to kind of slip in between them and Hartigan, and I just had no idea Norman was there. He doesn't talk much. I had no idea he was there. So, yeah, it's unfortunate, but I think he's still circulating out there at the moment. But, yeah, I'm done.
All right, thank you so much, Ed. As we go back to green flag racing, Neil Pearson's going to lead away. Jason Hartigan there on the top line. He didn't get a great restart there for Jason Hartigan. Neil Pearson actually got a rocket start there and had managed to get a good jump off the line there, just in front of Josh Mickelmore.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not sure what happened there, but so who we got here? We've got the Mitch cars are split up now, so this is going to make it interesting to see what they come up with. Hartigan's going to stick to that outside line. Hopefully someone comes with him. He wants to get to the point of this race. But at the moment, Neil Pearson is at the front of that. We got Josh Mickelmore and Lockie Yu in behind that. So these guys are having a good race. And Dan Stevens just flying up around the outside of the 83 there.
Yeah, Aiden Schultz working his way up there as well. He's sitting just behind, just behind. I love it. Touch there between, I think between Schultz and Hartigan, just a little tiny touch, and that's caused Hartigan to go up into the wall. But he managed to save that one. But that's going to cost him a lot of speed. You can see him just dropping off there.
absolutely spat out the back. I'm not sure if he just got too close there and spooked himself maybe, and that's why he went so high on the track. But yeah, not ideal to start this race because we've got 21 laps to go. So we're getting down to the business end here now, and it's almost go time. Especially, well, for the guys at the back, it's go time for them.
Yeah, that's it. This is the time where you got to start working your way forward, start thinking about that end of the race. Nobody has to think about fuel now. It is all about the race finish now. So you can see Neil Pearson just holding out there in front, just trying to keep Micklemore behind him at the moment. And that's what he wants to do. He doesn't want Micklemore in front of him, and he doesn't want to give Micklemore the chance to join up back with Hamish Gallagher, because we've seen just how strong the Mitch Motorsport cars are working together. Got Aidan Schultz there as well, just working behind Lachlan Pio and just giving a good push at the moment. Those guys are really, really trying hard to keep those guys behind them and keep the Mitch Motorsport cars apart from each other.
Yeah, so if I'm Lachlan here, I'm probably eventually get on the radio here to Aidan and try and work with him, because you got two Mitch cars there and we got two DPR cars there. We got Stephen Williams just riding shotgun at the back there. So the odd ones out are the 52 and the 42. So if those guys can work together, they might be able to work some magic here.
Yeah, we could see some good work from them, and just behind they are trying to form up a bit of a line to try and get a charge going. Jason Hardigan at the lead of that little group at the moment, trying to get back to the front of the pack. So trying their best to make the best of a bad situation with that restart, really, but he's got to try and work his way back up there. All that hard work today going away almost, but still in P7, so definitely not out the race yet. We've still got 18 laps to go.
Yeah, definitely not. There's 4 cars in that little pack. They just need to get themselves organised and lined up here if they're going to have any chance. I'm not sure if Matty Raymond just doesn't have the car pace. Maybe he got some damage, but yeah, that gap's a bit too big there. They need to form a line, otherwise they're going to get left behind.
Yeah, Matty Raymond's got a bit of damage to that car. It's looking a little bit second-hand. Daniel Stevens as well.
Not much, so the 51 is coming at them now. So Dan Stevens doing a good job of pushing the 51. So they'll be in that draft now. So they'll catch on to the back of this train. And some. They won't even take the run and go straight past them.
Yeah, they're actually getting a good run at the moment. You can see them jumping up to the top now, and they're trying to get there. And you can see Hamish Gallagher just thinking about jumping to the top as well, trying to get to the front of the group of cars. They're really thinking about it as they come up to a pair of cars side by side as well. So they've managed to link up and get back into the line, but going to go 3 wide into turn 1 here. And this is where dangerous things can happen, but they've all managed to squeeze their way through. But this has given Hamish Gallagher the chance to try and get out on the top. He's being left hung out to dry, though. You can see right now Jason Hardigan's jumped back down to that bottom line and has left Hamish Gallagher out there on his own. So Hamish Gallagher's got to try and get that side draft working, try and get up there. If he can get back up there with his teammate, they could get a chance to get this one.
Yeah, something odd just happened there. Dan Stevens just moved up, and maybe he got loose, I don't know, but they just lost a bit of time there for some reason. So Hamish is making it work for himself out there at the moment, just because there's no pace in this front line of cars. If he gets someone else to help him, there's no reason why they can't go straight to the point there. But yeah, Dan Stevens just...
Aidan Schultz getting into Hamish Gallagher there. Big moment there.
That's a hard look, and that's another Mitch car taken out of it. There's still plenty of time to go this, but that's out of the front pack. So right now, Josh Micklemore's up the front on his own. He's just going to have to do it on his own from here. But we're going to go back to replay. Just come up too far. Aidan, just come up into Hamish. This point of the race, you can't be coming up that far because the car's going to be needing to run tight on you to be able to make any room. So yeah, little error from Aidan, and that'll be his race just about over there.
Yeah, that's it. It's going to really that's hurt his race, and as well as Hamish Gallagher again. Just unfortunate passenger in that one. Hamish Gallagher actually having to come to the pit lane. I think some serious damage to that car, but this is going to help Neil Pearson out a little bit. So you've got 2 DPR cars up there in the sort of top rows. We've got 14 laps to go. So they've got that sort of extra car in there, and they're the only team that has more than one car in that top field.
Yep, for sure. And the driver of number 3, Dan Stevens, he has won this before, so he knows what it takes to win this thing. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this turns out now that that the Mitch cars have been split up, unfortunately for those guys. But as Lockie fakes to go behind Josh there, Josh goes up and then dives straight back underneath him. So that's a good move by Lockie there. Just getting Josh up there, thinking that he's going to get it, and just snuck straight back into his spot. So and you watch these DPR cars now; they're just about to line up behind each other, just about there too.
Yeah, that worked out so well for the DPR cars. I was just going to say as well, don't forget Jason Hardigan in the Natari Autosport car as well, former teammate to Lachlan Urquio there. So we know that those guys have worked together a bit for this weekend. So they are trying it. You can see there that
Lockie looks like he's about to come up for. No, he's going to stay there. He's happy where he is. But I thought he was going to come up in front of the 51 there. But the 51's doing all right on his own out there. So Dan Stevens about to get on the back of him. So we've got 13 laps to run now in the 2021 Daytona 500.
yeah, it's really, really getting pointy up at the front end right now. They really want to try and get up into the lead right now. And you can see that Josh Micklemore has just latched onto the back of that group and is pushing Jason Hardigan along. They know that the DPR cars could start working together, and they don't want that happening.
So Hardigan is clear now. We'll see if he drops down or stays up there with Dan. But if I'm Hardigan, you've got to drop down.
And they're coming up to quite a few lapped cars as well now. So again, coming up to some lapped cars, quite a few cars coming up to this group. As you can see, Neil Pearson coming out to the top line now, trying to get up there to stop anything advancing. But this has given Lachlan a chance to get behind Jason Hardigan for those two cars to link up. Good run, though, from Neil Pearson. He's trying to get it. But they are coming up to lap cars very, very quickly. And this could be the moment that really changes things, because quite a few cars just all over the shop at the moment. Quite a lot of damaged cars as well.
Geez, that was tight between Pearson and Reese May, I think it was. But any one of these cars can win it. There's 6 cars in this race at the moment. Let's hope they don't wreck each other. We can get a good run to the flag here. But there's the 2-3-1 car staying on the bottom here. They're going to have to go around him.
Oh, yeah. They are so close there. They're 3 wide, almost fair for a second. Jason Hardigan's managed to keep the front of the pack, though. But Neil Pearson has got a relatively good run. The track is looking relatively clear up in front of him. Only a single car left up there. If Neil Pearson can get the good run here, he could be looking good right now. But you can see Lachlan Urquio is really trying to push Jason Hardigan at the moment, trying to keep him in the front. Oh, a little bit of a tap there from Urquio and Pearson.
Yeah, Pearson's running them tight down there. This stage in the race, you're allowed to run them tight. That's the name of the game here. You got to get everything you can here. You run that risk, but geez, I tell you what, these guys will be getting really nervous now. I've been in this position, and your heart rate starts. Your heart starts pumping, mate. I'm telling you right now, they're all very nervous right now.
It's the heart starts pumping in the booth, but it is twice-fold in the car. We've got 9 laps to go in this race now. We're on lap.
Oh, we got
the caution.
Phil Otto, we're hearing, has had an incident. Wow, that's gonna close this pack up. It's gonna be anyone's race now. That's massive. So we're just watching the replay now. Riley Curtis has had a moment, got loose, and unfortunately the pink car there, I'm not sure who that is, but it's just gone straight up into Phil and taken him out, and that'll be day done for Phil. So yeah, bit odd. Riley Curtis just getting loose, maybe worn tyres there, and bringing out the caution. So this is on. This is game on for everyone.
Yep, this is really, really tightened it up. I think that was John Sorensen as well, got caught up a little bit in that one with the Riley Curtis incident. But yeah, real shame there for a few of those guys. They just got a bit caught up there. Greg Spencer in the pink car there got caught, really just caught up against the wall. Nothing he could do in that situation. So we're joined up in the booth by Joshua Carroll and JCW. Obviously, we don't want to see you at this stage of the race, but you're up here. How are things going?
This is, it's not ideal. I mean, if I was going to be wrecked, I would have preferred to have been wrecked early in the race, but yeah, it's how it is.
Yeah, it can be a cruel mistress motorsport sometimes, and it always happens towards the end of a long, hard race as well. Things looked to have gone relatively well for you throughout the night, up until the incidents, of course. But you must be happy with the performance of the team at the moment with Jason in the lead at the moment.
Yeah, yeah. Jason and Lockie, they're doing a really good job at the moment. Both of them being able to dodge all the wrecks so far. So yeah, good on them. It's just yeah. I mean, I would have liked to be up there with them, still racing, but yeah. You know, they're doing well, and you know, hopefully they can bring home the bacon.
That's it. I mean, you got your 500 win under your belt already, so you know. But obviously, would have been great to get a second one. A real shame to see you out of that one. A real shame to see you out of this race. But hopefully, things will go better throughout the year for you. And it's been a good start for the team. Obviously, good start for yourself. Well, not good start, but I mean, you've shown good pace tonight as well, which is something. So hopefully, the year will go better for you, and hopefully, we'll have you back in the box for better circumstances next time out.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it's not going to be an easy start to the season. We've got the road course again next week, and you know, that's the track I really struggled at in the clash. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of hard work to make sure I'm, you know, competitive for that race. So yeah, better races are ahead, but yeah, there's quite a bit of hard work to do first.
Well, I mean, hopefully you've got a teammate that can drive well on a road course that can help you out there.
Yeah.
Good luck for the rest of the season, JCW. Sorry to see you out the race. We saw some good racing out there, obviously, and then a few unfortunate incidents and some things go wrong, but we'll see you back here, and I'm sure we'll have you back in the booth for better times in the future.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
JCW there for the Atari Autosport team. Unfortunately, out of the race.
Yeah, sorry, Carl. While you were talking there, I just want to make mention, I've just been keeping an eye on action on track. The 23 has just got the lucky dog of Raymond Yeager. So he started off the pole, or outside pole, I believe, or he's up there anyway. He's going to be in this race now. So he's back on the lead lap. Do not count that 23 out.
Yeah, Raymond Yeager was on pole, so he's got some pace in that car. He's got a bit of damage on it, though. So it's not going to be super easy, but it's not looking the worst of the cars out there. And he has got a few teammates around him as well, who are not all on the same lap, but they are teammates nonetheless. So we could see a bit of a push here for him, and him getting up to some slightly better finishing positions from here on in.
So right now we sit with 9 cars on the lead lap. So we're coming down. We're going to take the green flag with 6 laps to go. So any one of those 9 cars can win it. Some have got damage, some haven't. So I think it's still going to be a fight between those top 6 that we were looking at before.
Yeah, that's it. Those top cars are going to be the ones that are really racing for it. Gotta say, Dan Stevens sitting up there in 4th at the moment. He's going to be trying his best to keep Josh Micklemore behind him. Josh Micklemore's got a relatively clean car and is looking good. Devin Stove working his way up there into 7th as well, so he's put himself in a good position with Matty Raymond. So they're all managed to work their way up to the top for the final dash to the finish line. 6 laps remaining of this 500-mile race, the 200 laps of Daytona, of course. It's going to be a close finish for sure, but Jason Hardigan is sitting in the leading seat at the moment. Neil Pearson on the outside line. Of course, Jason Hardigan has got a sort of semi-teammate behind him, so this could be good for those two. We'll see how it pans out, as the pace car is going to be coming in very shortly.
Yeah, definitely. If you thought the nerves were high before, they're going to be even higher now. You've just calmed down. You've got to get yourself back in this. And so I've been in this position before. I know what it's like. It is hard to race, flat out. We're about to take the green flag. Here we go. 6 to go.
And Jason Hardigan just getting a bit of wheel spin there. It looked like he got a little bit of wheel spin on that exit there. And he's got into Neil Pearson, and it's going to be a big one.
Oh, my goodness. He's turned up in front of the 9. He's wrecked the field. I'll tell you what, there's one car that got through that. I'm pretty sure it was Lachlan. You. That'll do.
Lachlan, yeah.
Well, here's the replay there. He just come up. Oh, you can't do that late in this race. They're running hard, man. You got to be running tight. There's no room to be coming up like that. That's a massive incident before we take the checker flag here. That's a lot of cars in that.
He does, and yeah, it was so close there, and I think that was mainly just because he got a really slow start, and I think that caught everybody out by surprise. Lachlan Oakley he sort of runs up a little bit close to them, and then all heck breaks loose there, and that was a huge one.
Yeah, look, he didn't come up much. I'm just watching the replay. He didn't come up much. It was just enough to grab the guard of the DPR 9 car, and that was all she wrote. And I'm just trying to have a look who else got involved behind there, but I can see Dan Stevens was in it. The 98 of Steve Williams, Micklemore was in it. So that top 6 we just talked about, all in that crash, except for the 42 of Lockie Yu, who's out front. He's got possibly Matty Raymond's going to be coming off second here, and he's got damage. So I tell you what, things are looking pretty good for Lockie, but don't count anyone else out.
Anything can happen. We're going to be looking. We'll be looking at a green-white checker here, will we? We've got 4 laps remaining, so I think we might
get a green before that. I reckon we'll go green with 2 to go. So to be an unofficial green-white checker. Yeah,
it's going to be close. Stephen Williams is currently sitting second. Devon Stove up into 3rd place from that incident. That's kind of worked out well for Devon Stove. Matty Raymond 4th. Daniel Stevens is looking out of this race. Josh Micklemore as well. Raymond Yeager. As we said, Raymond Yeager is up there in, I think he's going to end up in 5th place, I think, or 6th place. But the guy that it's going to work out for quite well is going to be Michael Skurlock.
Yeah, I'm just looking at these front cars, who's got the least amount of damage, and tell you what, that 42 is looking like a race winner to me. I don't want to call it early, but geez, he looks good.
Yeah,
but, all the other cars behind him, everyone's got damage behind him, so he's the only clean car out there at the moment.
Yeah, he's looking from spinning to leading. Lockie has had an eventful race. But this is going to be one heck of a finish, and there's still cars trying to close up to the field. It's taken a long time to actually close the gap, so we might actually.
That's a good point you make, Carl. He was nearly dead in that inside wall earlier in the race, and apart from a bit of good driving, got himself out of that position, and now look at him. He's leading the biggest race on the ANZCAR calendar right now.
He is, and yeah, he's got some stiff competition behind him, and some hungry drivers as well. Stephen Williams, as we said before, is a driver that has a lot of skill and has got wins under the belt from before. You've got Matthew Raymond there, who is going to be hungry to get a good finish. Raymond Yeager, of course, starting on pole, and he is going to want to try and get a good finish for this one. Michael Skurlock is as I say, he's back on the lead lap in 6th position now, I think.
Sorry to cut over. We just actually dropped Jason Hardikin just out of the infield care centre. Mate, talk us through that one, mate. Not a good way to end the night.
Oh, no, that was pretty average on my part, Yeah, pretty much. I got him to 3rd, and the thing just kept drifting up the track. And I was watching what Lockley was doing behind me, and yeah, I just got him to Piers, and it was all my fault.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, mate. It's not much room late in the race like this, and that one bit hard. We also got Dan Stevens, mate. It's a bit of an innocent victim there, mate. Walk us through that, mate.
Mate, I thought to myself, I've kept it clean all day long, got through some sketchy moments, and a couple of laps to go, and then that kind of thing happens. It really bites you in the butt, really.
Yeah, it's not a great way to finish the great race, mate. Yeah, you were looking good there, mate, unfortunately, but now we've got a lot of damaged cars, and yeah, I think we're about to have a green-white checker unofficially, so unfortunate for those guys there getting caught up. Thanks for your time, boys.
No worries.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you hopefully in the booth next time for some better things. Sorry, producer, just a bit quiet there. Okay, so this could be a lot trickier than we think for Lockie at the moment.
Here we go, Carl, mate. Here we go.
It's going to be green. Lockie's going to lead away, and he's going to be leading the field for the 500. Stephen Williams on the outside. He's the one that's going to lead the start, so he's got to go from here. He puts his foot down, gets away. And we are back to green flag racing on lap 198 of 200. 2 laps remaining in this race. Technically, Lockie's got a good position on the inside line. Stephen Williams is trying his best to get that speed on the outside line, but it looks like the damage on the car is not quite helping him. He just doesn't have the pace at the moment. Lachlan Urquio definitely has a bit more pace as they go round, but Devon Stone...
Watch the 23 here. Raymond Jaeger's in this. He's got speed.
Yeah, Raymond Jaeger we've seen has speed all the time. There's also Devon Stove, who has a car that is very clean looking too. So there's a couple of cars at the front that have some clean aero to them, and 2 drivers that have not got not had a win in the ANZCAR.
We're around to take the white. The next we cross the line here. We get the white. The next flag ends it. Here it goes to 23. It goes to make a move on the outside. Who's he got for company with him?
So just trying to have a look at who that is. It's Jackson behind him. So he's trying his best, but he doesn't have the speed. It looks like he really does not have the pace to push forwards. Lachlan has got a good position at the moment. As we are on the white flag lap, they are going to be very close to come back straight. Devon Stove getting a good run.
So Stephen Williams got a choice here. Who's he going to pick? He's got to pick one of these guys. Otherwise, he will just stall out as well. He got the 666 coming to John Sorensen.
Oh, and they touched! They made contact! They made contact across the line!
Oh my goodness!
It's a big wreck across the line with the final lap to go.
It's still
Stephen Williams, I think. Stephen Williams. No. Michael Skurlock.
Skurlock?
I think it might be Michael Skurlock. We're trying to work out.
Skurlock is the winner. He's
Skurlock
from nowhere.
Giving us somehow Michael Skurlock has won that race. Stephen Williams second. That was absolute heartbreak for Lachlan Urquio there. You've got to say absolute heartbreak there. It looks like, just going back to have a look at it, just gets contact between himself and Devon Stove, and that is the end of that. Michael Skurlock coming from nowhere, written off very early in the race from an early incident, and the winner of the 500, Stephen Williams, managed to get second from that, despite missing most of the car.
What a crazy end of that race. That's wild. I've never seen it. I ain't never seen it.
No, that was a absolute mad finish. But that is exactly why you don't give up in motorsport. You keep on going along. You keep plugging it along. Skurlock has been a lap down a number of times.
Michael Skurlock doing the donuts on the Daytona sign. Wowee.
Oh, dear. Catch a breath here, Dave. It's going to... Just a moment.
Burn it down, Skurly.
I think he's going to be... I think he's going to be surprised at that, but happy nonetheless. Let's run through the actual finishing positions of the top 10 as we go. So, up in first place was Michael Skurlock, Stephen Williams in second. Devon Stove ended up third with Raymond Jaeger fourth. Lachlan Urquio managed to get fifth in the end with Matthew Raymond sixth. Riley Curtis managed to get seventh in the end. I think he's going to be pretty chuffed about that, considering all the damage on that car, the amount of incidents he had, unfortunately, during this race. John Sorensen manages to get P8, Josh Micklemore P9, and Mirko Dortnak, who we were talking to earlier in the race, has managed to get P10 in that one. As we go down from P10 onwards, P11 was Ryan Ball with Tristan Koch 12th, P13 was Norman Clark with Paul Jackson 14th, 15th was Aidan Schultz with Michael Shaw in 16th, 17th was Bradley Cheney, Greg Spencer in 18th, 19th Daniel Stevens, Neil Pearson 20th. 21st was Jason Hartigan with Bradley Allison in 22nd, Gary Wellman and Nathan Button 23rd, 24th, 25th was Reese May with Phil Otto 26th, 27th was Justin Witcher with Hamish Gallagher 28th in the end, 29th was Danny G with Joshua Carroll Walton in 30th, 31st was Edward Foster with Jason Martin in 32nd. James Robbie is next, 33rd with Adam Rosell in 34th. 35th was Chris Purnell with Liam Ford in 36th. 37th was Matt Hunter with 38th. Luke Trahir. Ruben Phelps started on the front, finished 39th, unfortunately. Bill Hickey, 40th. 41st with Scott Griffith. Neil Patton, 42nd. And finally, Braden Thomas at the end. But Michael Skurlock taking a, historic win there. in the 500. That was an absolute crazy one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it certainly was. I'm just going back to try and break down that last incident. All it was hard race, and Devon Stove just got right down on the door of the 42, and possibly a bit of net code in there, but it's the last lap of Daytona, mate. You got to go for it. You got to do what you got to do, and unfortunately, that's how it ended up. And Skurlock sneaks through for the win.
Yeah, that's it. You only get one. You only get one chance at winning the 500 sometimes, and you go for it when you get the chance, don't you? Really.
Yeah, he even took some contacts through. He was getting through that pack. He backed it down. He took a hit. Luckily, not to get spun out, and survived and got through. And the rest is history. 2021, you're a Daytona champion.
Yeah, so we'll grab down third place man Devon Stove. Devon Stove, how's it going?
Not too bad yourself.
Not too bad. The throat is a little bit dry and sore, but that was a pretty crazy end to the race there. Obviously, it all went. It all went a bit wrong, but a bit right at the same time. Obviously, and P3 at Daytona. This in my recollection. This is your first P3 finish for ANZCAR in the Cup Series, isn't it?
Yeah, sure.
Well, I think. Oh, okay. Sorry, I was going to say short selling me there.
Yeah, we'll get to you later, Skurlock. But yeah, so first P3 in the series, and doing it at Daytona at the 500. A good one for that, Devon Stove.
Thank you very much. It's hard work, but we got there, and unfortunately got tangled up at the end, which I think I moved down ever so slightly and tagged the back of Lockie. But
yeah, we were just re-watching that situation, and it's hard racing, but as we said, it's the Daytona 500, and if you don't go for it, it could be your only chance. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of drivers in the same situation would be putting the same amount of pressure on. Obviously, we'd love to see the race finish in less chaotic fashion, because it just take us a while to try and work out who won that one in the end. But congratulations on the P3 finish. Of course, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to tonight?
I'd just like to thank our team over at Iridium. We got a great group of sponsors behind us, and Inside Lane Production, Scorpion Racewear, Devon Stove Design, Simblix, and Hickey Motorsport, and they support us heaps, and yeah, it's bloody good.
Oh, good finish. You had a fair bit of support actually in the chat for Iridium Motorsport earlier on. So you've given the chat a very good finish at the end. I'm pretty sure they're going to be a bit happy about that one. Next up, we will jump to Stephen Williams in P2. Congratulations on P2, Stephen. How are you going?
G'day, fellas. Yeah, not too bad. That was an interesting finish. Thought it was all over when I had a car on my windscreen, but
yeah, it was. It was a bit of a chaotic end there. Obviously, watching the sort of restart, of course, it was almost like a green-white checker sort of finish towards the end there. Looks like he was struggling a little bit for speed.
yeah, I had a bit of damage there, and yeah, it's pretty much knew I was never going to make my way to the front. Yeah, so just trying to keep it going to the end.
Well, you managed that, and you managed P2 here tonight, which is not a bad thing at all for you, I'm sure. But we saw some really good teamwork out there tonight for you guys. Lots and lots of working together and things like that for the DPR team. You looked like you had some solid cars out there tonight.
Definitely, it was a shame that Neil got taken out like that. Yeah, I won't go into it, but pretty ordinary.
Unfortunately, sometimes the worst things happen in motorsport, and it is always painful when they do. But with the bad times do come some of the good times, of course. And P2 start of the season for the championship, you must be relatively happy with that one. And obviously, it's going to be a bit of a different championship this year with a few more road courses, things like that. How are you feeling for the rest of the season?
Just plug away at it and see how it goes. Yeah, just try to get those consistent finishes is more important than, I know I'm not going to be winning things, but just finishing is the most important thing.
That's
You
it.
can win it.
I was going to say, you don't sell yourself too short there. We know you got the pace to get there sometimes.
Yeah, maybe sometimes luck.
Don't talk about luck, mate. I was barracking for you, and then all of a sudden I'm in front of you.
Cheers.
No, before we let you go, of course, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Simrigs.com, Southwell Lifts and Hoists, Benmax Mechanical, BetSmart Racing Services, and all the fellas at DPR Racing.
No worries. Thank you so much, Steve. And we will see you again. Congratulations on that P2 finish. And hopefully we'll have you back up in the box this year a few more times.
Cheers, thanks for that. And yeah, and all the organisers and commentators, it's awesome for all your work. Thanks.
It's much appreciated. We can do it with you guys doing stuff on track and doing amazing things. Speaking of amazing things, Michael Skurlock.
Say it ain't so. You can't bring me in early to sit quietly after that. Come on.
We wanted to torture you a little bit. So your race was pretty much written off early on, wasn't it, really?
Oh, mate, that was just ridiculous. That's just nothing. I can't even take that win, to be honest. That is just ridiculous, mate. But yeah, no, I've shut my stream down and everything. I didn't want to bore everybody. So I was just putting around. And I was just going through the motions. I was going to pull out just because it was tedious, you know what I mean? 2-3 seconds off the lap times. And then, yeah, after every yellow kept coming out, a little more. I was urging them on. Come on, a few more yellows. A couple more, I'm getting excited. And then, I don't know what the hell happened at the end there. It's funny because Gary Wellman was in there and he just showed me a video where at the end there, where that big wreck was, he sort of took a bump off someone and he just ricocheted me past to just miss the big thing. So, he saved me, you know what I mean? He's the one that sort of set me on my way to victory there.
Yeah, you got extremely lucky. I'll go with that one as well. But there was a lot of skill as well. I mean, the determination just to keep going. That's one of the big things I just want to mention with that win, because obviously early on in the race things weren't going well. We had Chris up here, Chris Purnell, your team manager and teammate, of course, up here earlier on, just talking about the unfortunate incidents, and had said cars have been taken out and things weren't looking so good, and pretty much written off the race. And then you go and do it for Crank, and you get a victory first time out for the team as well at Daytona 500. So that must be good.
Paul Jackson there just goes, this happened because of that video that I posted before the race. Kind of is, mate.
You're right.
It's my time, mate. There's no other explanation for that, because that was just, like I said, that's ridiculous. You know what I mean? It probably didn't make for good viewing either. But I'm taking it.
It was good.
I'll take it and I'll pretend in a couple of years I'll say, I won that 500, mate. I'll be sitting on that. I don't care how I did it.
When you're in the old folks' home, you can say you did it. That's the thing. So you've got that ticked off the list, of course. Look, it was a big mayhem at the end there, in all honesty, but you've got to keep going and just keep plugging away. And I think I mentioned on the that last caution that you got I think it was the last one or the one before, you got the lucky dog, of course, because you were a lap down quite late into this race. But you got to be in it to win it, haven't you?
Yeah, that's it, man. That is it. That's all I did. I was just in it. And I won it. So, woo! I'll take it.
Well, you got to take it. Be happy with yourself. Of course, before we let you go, the usual things, shout-outs and all of that kind of stuff. Michael Skurlock, the 2021 Daytona 500 winner.
Yep, I'll thank Crank Esports. I sent those boys packing because I didn't want them to sit around, because unfortunately they had a bad night too. I was in 30th then. They didn't believe me when I said I won then. I sent them off because I didn't want them just to sit there watching me. Like I said, I shut the stream down. So thanks to them anyway. It was pity we all couldn't get up there. But I Race Designs and the old mentor himself, mate, Chris Purnell, Virtual Motorsport Mentor. And you boys for putting this on, JP and the Sim Shed team, and you guys for commentating. And I like the dual tandem commentating. It's good. Very good. And thanks to everybody out there. Thanks to Gary for saving me at the end and letting me get that win, mate. Woo!
Congratulations, Michael Skurlock, 2021 Daytona 500 winner. From the back to winning it, I think yeah, congratulations. I mean, what more can you say? You just stuck with it and got that win. Well-deserved victory as well. Obviously, good start to the 2021 season for you as well. You must be looking forward to the rest of the year now with having this under your belt.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, I mean, if things are going to go this well for the rest of the season, look out, eh?
Like, if you've got luck this year, then that's it. It's over. Put the money on Skirley already.
Yep, put it on there, mate. I'm putting it on there.
Thank you so much, Mick. Like, have a great rest of the day. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy a couple of glasses of something bubbly, and we'll catch you again up in the booth, I am sure.
All right, thanks, boys. Thank you. See you, mate.
Michael Scarlett there for the Crank Esport team, taking out the victory, Dave. That was an absolutely chaotic finish.
Yeah, the intensity definitely picked up towards the end there, and I still don't know how the 350 got through all that to win. So that's insane, crazy.
Yeah, you got to say, heartbreak to Lockie Urquio there. As we said, he had some dodgy pedal issues as well, which didn't make things easy. The fact that he was spinning halfway through the race and he was up there for, well, possibly the win at the end. What a great drive. Again, one of the newer drivers to the series as well. So good job for him. Unfortunately, luck was not in his favour tonight, but definitely was with Michael Skurlock.
Yeah, absolutely. Lockie can be proud of his efforts tonight. He took the white in the lead and basically, did nothing wrong. And, just didn't come away with the chocolates, unfortunately.
Yeah, as is motorsport. It's either great or it's not so great. And when it's great, and when it's not, it really isn't. You can go away feeling quite disappointed. Thank you so much to everybody for joining us for this broadcast. We will be back on Thursday nights as usual for the remainder of the season as the regular season continues here on the SimShed Broadcasting Network for the ANZCAR Cup. We will be back at the road course, won't it? So be back here for the Daytona. I'm just trying to think what race it is next. Sorry, I've got my.
Yeah, it's the road course at Daytona for the next race.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, Daytona road course, 35 laps. So as you saw with the Clash, it can be an interesting race. We saw a great one for the Clash, and it's going to be much more interesting with all the cars in the field. So join us February 18th for that one, a regular time. A big thank you as well to JP for all his hard efforts and work, getting all of the beautiful overlays ready and getting the broadcast out. As always, thank you so much, JP. And a big thank you to Dave Douglas as well for joining me up in the booth this season and for this race. Really appreciated having an extra person to call the race with.
Yeah, too easy, Carl. It was a good race, good one to call. Look forward to the next one.
Wonderful. And we will all see you there. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, for more of the ANZCAR Cup, this is the SimShed Network wishing you a good day. Bye-bye.